the ISR studios in Jerusalem, Israel. It's Louis Live. Now here's your host, me, and Raphael Geller. What's up, everyone? Hope everyone's doing good. I'm doing great. It's Louis Live here on IsraelSportsRadio.com. Thank you for making us a part of your day. Great show today, as always, and we'll get right into it. My dose of eating crow. The Boston Celtics win Game 5 on the road. They're up 3-2 in the series against the Heat. Another potential epic collapse for three-time MVP LeBron James. Truly incredible. Just a week ago, the Spurs and Heat were automatic in the NBA Finals, but as the test of time shows and goes in the playoffs, people jumped the gun too quickly. People wanted to write things off. I did, partly because I really wanted to see Spurs and Heat, even though I picked the Oklahoma City Thunder at the beginning of the season go to the NBA Finals. I thought the Spurs and Heat would be an incredible matchup. Spurs down 3-2. Not only could they lose tonight, by the way, we're going to have on a member of the NBA Thunder team later on in the program, so stay tuned for that. But not only could the Thunder go to the NBA Finals, the Spurs might be done with this cast of characters. I don't know if Timmy Duncan is going to get this far in his career again. Remember, Tim Duncan was drafted in 1997, went all 4 years of college at Wake Forest. So he was 22 years old in 1997, and that make him 37 now. So I don't know how much gas he has left in the tank. He's played basketball since he was in the Virgin Islands. He was originally a swimmer before the hurricane damaged his pool in the Virginia Islands. And it's played a long, long time. I don't know how much gas he has left. And his season could end tonight along with the rest of the Spurs. Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, and company. Of course, Greg Popovich inserted Manu Ginobili in place of Danny Green to give the offense a boost. And it worked to some degree as Manu Ginobili poured in over 30 points. And it was certainly a competitive game. But Manu's three, with the last couple seconds left in the fourth quarter, not in. Rimmed around, went out. Manu later on said it wasn't a bad shot. It wasn't a great shot. It just didn't go in. And that was all she wrote for Game 5 for the Spurs in the Western Conference Finals. And again, their season could end tonight. They went about 2 months without losing, folks. 50 days in a row. Then they ran into the Thunder. And they won 2 games, and then in less than a week lost 3. Not used to this. They haven't lost 3 games all season. And I was speaking with Andy Gershman last night via Skype about all this. When you're watching your NBA playoffs, and they kept talking about the Spurs streak, they kept flashing, if you noticed, the greatest playoff winning streak in history, and it was the Lakers in '89, who were undefeated going into the NBA Finals against the Detroit Pistons, and then got swept. Of course, Byron Scott and Magic Johnson's injuries had something to do with that. But a lot of times, these teams with these streaks don't finish. Lakers in '89 did finish, and the Spurs of this season may not finish at the end of the day as well. And that's Game 6 tonight. Thunder could close them out, and Kevin Durant could get his first taste of the NBA Finals, 23 years old. I made a list of the top 10 players never to play in the NBA Finals last year on the Top 10 show when I co-hosted with Gershon Swimmer. And I made a list of the top 10 NBA players never to play in the NBA Finals. Durant on that list, Derrick Rose. It's not such an impressive list because most players have made it to the NBA Finals at least once. Your Reggie Millers, your Patrick Ewings, Karl Malone, John Stockton all made it at least once. In the case of Malone, Stockton made it twice. And most good players make it at least once. Most great players. Actually, George Gervin might be a future guest here on the program. Never played in the NBA Finals along with Pistol Pete Maravich. And I had the greatest player never to play in the NBA Finals, 2-time MVP Steve Nash. But Durant was on that list as well, and that spot could be up for grabs. If he wins tonight, he'll make his first trip to the NBA Finals. And he was in the 08 draft with Greg Oden, second pick overall. So, been a while in this day and age of you've got to win early, you got to win now. Really hasn't been that long. This is his 5th season. So it's not such a big deal that he hasn't made the NBA Finals yet, in my opinion, and a young guy, but could get in tonight. Of course, then Celtics winning last night, up 3-2. That Game 6 will be tomorrow. And when you thought it was bad, LeBron James losing in the NBA Finals last year to the Mavericks, losing in the Eastern Conference Finals would be something else. So we're going to get things started. We're going to dial up Brian Sartar, who is a talk show host. And he's a sports talk host at Sports Radio at 94 WIP-FM in Philadelphia. So he's certainly familiar with the Boston Celtics and familiar with them playing in the 7-game finals just in the previous round. So we're going to dial up Brian as we speak. And again, wanted to remind everyone to check out our store by clicking on the store tab on IsraelSportsRadio.com. Great items, T-shirts, hats, candles, food, books, all types of great stuff. Great gifts to buy for your loved ones. Hi, am I speaking with Brian?
This is Brian.
Hi, this is Louis, Ari Louis. You're live on IsraelSportsRadio.com. How you doing out there?
Hey, how are you?
Hey, doing great. We're right in the midst of the NBA playoffs. Very exciting Eastern Conference Final Series. Game 5 tonight. Last night. But before we get into all that, let's talk about the National League East. The Phillies, kind of been a disaster. Last season winning the division, they lost to my Cardinals in 5 games, and a lot of people thought that was just simply a case of them stubbing their toe and that they were going to bounce back with a great season last year. Hasn't really been. A lot of people point to the injury of Holiday, but what are your thoughts about the Phillies' struggles this season?
Well, I think anytime you take 3 out of your lineups, you're going to have some serious problems. Ryan Howard is 4 MVP, averages either 40 months a season overall. There's a lot of profit out of the U.S. to mention the playoff stage as well. So I think that's the problem. Second, I think there's a lot of news. There's a lot of guys that are the lunch days, Wisconsin. It's taking a while for guys to get together.
Okay, we had some technical difficulties, as you heard. We're going to try him again and see what we could do here.
Hello, Ari. I'm in the house.
Hey, Raphael. It's good to have you here.
It's good to be here. I'm a little under the weather today, but decided to make the trip out as usual.
Yes, you're a warrior, so you're toughing it out right now. Day after your birthday. Did you have a party last night, and that's what happened?
I had dinner.
Hi, sorry, we lost you there for a minute. Can you hear us now?
And not starting runs national
Right. So, and I'll tell you, the interesting thing with stats with the Phillies, Holiday right there when he's on his game, and then of course goes down with the injury. I guess when you're in that situation of looking in the East, the Nationals right there at the top. What do you think has been the secret to their success?
Not real well. So, the Braves have been a little bit disappointing, and the Mets have been very surprising. But I prefer to in race between the Phillies, the Marlins, and the Nationals as time goes on.
Hi, Brian. You're on right now with Raphael. Thank you so much for joining us. We had some technical difficulties I think we couldn't hear you until about 10 seconds ago.
But now you sound fine, so this is great.
Now you sound fine. There could be a bad connection, but I think you're here with us.
So if you just moved into outside, just stay there because this sounds great.
Don't move.
Don't move, Brian.
I won't move anywhere.
Okay. All right, great, Brian. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about we have our Philly insider who does a lot of work for us and talks to us about updates of injuries. Rumors are Ryan Howard's down in spring training area getting ready to return from that horrible Achilles injury, and Chase Utley appears to not be coming back anytime soon. Do you have any inside scoop on or any prediction on when you think those two guys will be back in the infield?
A lot of questions behind that. For the injury. In fact, the injury. And to remove the knee. And it could be the Phillies.
Right, and can we ask you to move again? We keep losing you. This is very weird. You're fine for a second. Is there possibly?
I'll tell you what it is. It's the Nationals team trying to sabotage this phone call because they know you're from Philadelphia.
It's true.
That's what this is. You know what the Nationals play? They play in D.C. They have a lot of political influence. That's what's going on right now. There's still a little off. It got just a hair better there.
I'm moving around. But Nationals are nice little rival. Nice little rival. Trying to get cut out. In the early part, they did work up well, and they'll travel, but.
Oh, great! This is great. Right.
We seem to. Do you have another? Can you email us another number that we can reach you on? Because this isn't working right now.
Okay.
All right, so we lost the connection there again. Not sure what's going on.
All right,
there.
so
we're gonna take a commercial. Try and talk to Brian and see if there's maybe a landline we can reach him on.
Do we have to take a commercial? Why don't we chat?
Why don't we chat?
That game was something else. You know, Andy Gershman. I was speaking on Skype.
Right, you chat, Ari.
Okay,
I will.
I was speaking with Andy at Skype at 1 a.m. here, like 1:45, and he said, "So how about my C's tonight?" I said, "No chance." And again, it sucks to eat crow, and I don't know what the hell is going on with my predictions, and I apologize to everyone who counts on my predictions to make your sick gambling bets. Okay, we don't encourage gambling here on Louis Live. You should enjoy my predictions so you go to your parties, and when you watch your games, say, ha, 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 you know who's going to win, and then be right. That is the point of listening to Big Daddy Lou. That's the point, not to gamble. But for you idiots that gamble because I said the Heat, I mean, shame on you, but still shame on me for being wrong. So I don't know what the hell is going on. By the way, I'll tell you something. The Heat lose tomorrow night. Eric Spaghetti is out.
He's out. He's gone.
I mean, I'm shocked Pat Riley doesn't tap him on the shoulder and say, you know what, I'm coaching Game 6.
Yeah.
See ya.
Well, you know.
It's the whole tipping point because if the Heat do win, they'll have Game 7 at home, and they'll probably win it. The Celtics are tired. They played, you would think. Again, they keep disproving me, but they played 7 games against the Sixers, and they have a bunch of old guys we keep...
And 6 against the Hawks?
6 against the Hawks. We keep being told that they're old, but they're disproving us. But imagine, I don't think David Stern wants a Celtics-Thunder series. It would be decent, but it's not as sexy as Miami... Actually, Miami, period. If it was Miami or against Oklahoma or Miami against the San Antonio Spurs... That would be pretty good ratings because of obviously the LeBron factor. A lot of people tuning in to watch him lose.
Honestly, I think Miami Thunder would be better ratings
because LeBron versus Kevin Durant.
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
Look,
I'm watching it either way. I don't know how much I would get up for the Celtics.
You're gonna watch it though, Ari?
I'm actually for the NBA Finals. I'm gonna stay up.
You'll stay up with me?
We're gonna watch it together at your place.
I'll be honored.
Yeah.
I've been kind of watching the playoffs alone, so it'll be good to have I'm gonna take.
I don't get really interested until the NBA Finals.
Okay, well,
no, I am interested, but it's hard to stay up every single night over and over and over. But for the NBA Finals, it's worth it.
It is. It could be why I'm sick. Actually, matter of fact, that could be a very good explanation.
Oh, right.
Right, but
it's worth being sick for the NBA Finals.
Yeah, definitely. And as I already mentioned, guys, I watched the game last night. Of course, bad decision, but I did. And for the longest time, it really seemed the Heat were going to win. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, it was really KG who led this team last night. And
the heart and soul of the Celtics.
And the truth. In the commercial, or excuse me, the interview after the game with I forget her name, the ESPN sideline reporter.
Is that cute one?
It's not the cute one. It's the older one, but she's still attractive in her way. Yeah. Anyway, back to sports.
Hey! Liking chick reporters is a part of sports.
That's true. Aaron Andrews
and beer.
And yeah,
not that I don't really drink beer so much, but
me neither.
I was told by a rabbi that part of being a man is drinking beer in a frosty glass.
Who told you that? Right.
I'm not going to reveal the rabbi's name because he said it in private.
All right. Confidentiality is important.
But if you're going to watch the game, you're going to listen to Big Daddy Lou and Raphael break it down, give the predictions, watch your parties, drink your frosty beer in a frosty glass, and check out the chick reporters, old or young.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, if you ever noticed that the sideline reporters are never male?
That's right, because it's just basically an exaggerated form of cheerleaders. That's what a sideline reporter is.
This is a controversial comment. I'm gonna let you shoot yourself in the foot more. Go on.
I'm not being sexist. Any of the feminists out there that have a problem with that, you can write to me at israelsportsradio@yahoo.com or on Facebook. I'll be happy to discuss with you in a civil manner, or if you want to yell, I can yell back. That's not a problem. But that's what it is. The cheerleaders are on the floor, and then the sideline reporter is on the floor and not up in the booth.
Yeah, but you think the sideline... Okay, we got another number for Brian, so we're going to try this.
Okay, let's do this.
We're going to try this, and I'm going to continue my talk with him that we kind of seem to have lost numerous times.
Yeah, just when you dial, just because you copied and pasted the L, too. So
okay, don't worry, Ari.
All right, so anyways,
don't worry.
Are there good chick reporters, broadcasters out there?
Yes.
Maybe.
Yes.
Okay, who?
Pam Ward on ESPN is fantastic. Does college
I like Hannah Storm. She's not really a broadcaster.
You probably like her for the wrong reasons, Ari. Let's be honest.
Yeah, probably.
But she's not Jewish. Come on.
Oh, all right.
But here, we're going to try Brian. I'm going to introduce him.
No, Jess Hagoskin of Israel Sports Radio has a fine radio voice and has broadcasted flag football games.
All right, I think we got Brian back. Brian, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Oh man! All right, I hope that let's
try and see if it clears up.
Let's try and see if it clears up. I don't make
landline. It should be probable.
Okay.
All right. Well, where were we? Okay, so I wanted to talk to you a little bit about Hunter Pence and what he's kind of struggled this year and made a big splash kind of to get him not money, but I think it was a trade, right, Ari, for Hunter Pence?
I don't know.
Trade.
Okay.
And
who are cooking up the circuit right now.
Okay. All right. Now, I'm sorry, Raphael, go ahead.
Brian, I'm sorry this has been so disorganized. I want to apologize to our listeners out there because I know this is not how...
The National should apologize for sabotaging this.
No, but really, I don't seem to know what's going on. We kind of have you, so we're going to continue this for a few minutes. I want to ask about the 76ers, who had a really impressive first half, kind of collapsed in the second half, were able to sneak into the playoffs and have a very competitive playoff series.
Beat the Bulls. Took the C's to 7.
Took the C's to 7. C's now are dominating the Heat. I'm going to use the word dominating the last 3 games. Does this make your 76ers look better?
Where
Right, exactly. Now, David Wright is played under tremendous problems. In the fact the Mets have all the financial difficulty, they trade away Reyes, who is their leadoff hitter.
Madoff ruins the team with all the scam.
And David Wright, now he's in his walk here, is my understanding.
Yeah.
So part of the reason why he's kind of turning on the juice. But what are David Wright's chances of winning the batting crowd? Do you kind of think he's just sparking, starting hot early? Or can, at the end of the day, by the way, I know it's gone kind of up and down. I'm going to give this up real quick. Okay, David Wright is 3 points behind Cabrera of the Giants for the batting title. But at the beginning, it looked like he was the favorite. What do you think about David Wright's chances of winning the National League batting title? All right, and your guy Ruiz from the Phillies, people kind of forget about him. He's a little bit under the radar because
with all the
not
big
as
names are usually in Philly.
Cabrera and Wright a little bit more famous than Ruiz. With all due respect.
And as I just said, all right, Hunter Pence, Ryan Howard, Chase Utley, and Jimmy Rollins, guys who are usually having good seasons. And I guess Jason Worth before he signed with the Nationals. But all right, go ahead with.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's not. You wouldn't think he's the Phillies' best player, but here's at batting at 358, and he's only 7 points back of Cabrera for the title. So let's talk. We talked about Wright's chances of winning the National League batting title. What about Ruiz from the Phillies? All right, Brian. We appreciate your time here in Louis Live. We have to run, but it's certainly been a lot of fun. Let's have you on again in the future. All right, Brian. Be well. All right. Our apologies
all right,
because
so we want to apologize.
Because no one could have really heard what
We're
he said.
going to be honest. We wanted
Did
Brian.
You hang up on him?
Yeah,
okay,
we wanted Brian to feel comfortable. We didn't want it to end it.
That's what we Jews do. We make our guests feel comfortable.
He made sure that he sent us another number. So if anyone's still with us, hopefully you are. We apologize for that. I don't think that's ever happened before for more than 10 seconds at a time.
But we have a great show, so you're losing out if you if you turn off the internet.
Right, and then at 6 o'clock, we're going to have someone join me once Ari leaves. It's always sad when Ari leaves, but
violins playing all over Jerusalem.
Okay, so we're getting some word in from some people listening.
That we sound a little echoey?
We sound a little echoey. We're going to take a commercial and see what's going on with our equipment, because this is not like us, and we'll be back in 4 minutes. So please stay with us. We have the Indiana University Director of Sports Radio Programming on the other side to talk soccer, IU athletics, and playoffs.
Does it have to be just soccer?
No, all right, it does not have to be just soccer.
Okay.
It does not.
Well, I'm going to go to the bathroom or something with just soccer.
No.
All right.
All
right, this is Louis Live, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
And check out the store by going to our website and clicking on the store tab. It's good stuff, T-shirts, everything. And
hold on, wait, let me just see the mouse for a second here. I'm going to pull this back. All right. And so again, who is on the other side?
Our friend from Indiana University Bias, is the director of sports programming, and he might be making Aliyah in a couple years, so we got to give him some love.
Okay, great. So that's on the other side. It's Louis live in Israel, sportsradio.com.
You're tuned in to the only all-sports talk network in the Middle East, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Body and Soul Gym in the heart of Talpiot. Great machines, excellent staff, and wonderful classes such as Pilates, yoga, and kickboxing. Give them a call at 02-678-8861. Once again, that's 02-678-8861. www.body-soul.co.il. Once again, that's www.body-soul.co.il. That's Body and Soul in the heart of Talpiot, which is great for your body and your soul.
You're already using a credit card every day. Why not feel good every time you make a purchase? When using the HAS Advantage Support Israel Visa card, a percentage of each purchase you make will be donated to your choice of 24 Israeli-based charities, while still earning a reward point for every dollar spent. But wait, these rewards are even better than the standard rewards you get, especially when using them towards Israel travel, with the best conversion rate on El Al's Matmeed frequent flyer program. Earn double points at some of your favorite supermarkets and restaurants in the U.S., as well as discounts all over Israel. If you love traveling and supporting Israel, HAS Advantage is the card for you. Just give us a call toll-free at 1-866-6-ISRAEL. Sign up right now with the code ISR10 to earn 2,500 bonus points. That's 1-866-647-7235. HAS Advantage. Earn rewards. Support Israel. Offer valid for U.S. citizens only. Terms and conditions do apply. When dialing from within Israel, please dial 1-800-200-818.
Israel Sports Dynamics specializes in football consulting, equipment, uniforms, and more. Great brands such as Nike, Russell Athletics, Schutt Sports Products, and many more. Just one call away. With over 30 years coaching experience with university and professional athletes, Terry Hill, owner of ISD, can advise you for all your sports needs. Call 054-581-3248. That's 054-581-3248, or visit our website at www.isdisrael.com. If that's not easy enough, click on the ISD banner on the Israel Sports Radio website and be part of the game.
Are you tired of paying for expensive gym memberships that you don't use? Are you frustrated by not seeing results? It's time for the X1. Israel Gym Systems is proud to launch the X1 suspension and bodyweight training system. Lose weight, build muscle, improve balance, coordination, and flexibility. With your purchase of the X1, you'll receive a free membership to IsraelGym.com and access to our archives of videos and exercise plans. Sign up today at www.IsraelGym.com and get ready for the new you. Israel Gym X1. Higia Hazman.
DJ Venom, DJ Venom, DJ Venom, DJing parties throughout Israel, birthday parties, weddings, club events, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, and much more. You pick the type of music and DJ Venom will turn your event into the party of the year. Available Sunday through Thursday. Call 052-952-6506 or email djvenom1984@yahoo.com. That's 052-952-6506 or email djvenom1984@yahoo.com. Book your party today. That's DJ Venom.
Broadcasting live from Israel.
IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Okay. We're back on the air. This is live radio. There is some huge siren going outside. Rafa, you've lived here a lot longer.
We're gonna have to, we're gonna have to take a commercial break.
We got to figure out where this. We may have to evacuate this building
to verify that this is not real.
This sounds like a Yom Ha'atzmaut. I mean Yom HaShoah siren.
I'm gonna check the news and see if it's just a warning. All right, keep talking. I'm gonna look. Well,
this is Israel after all, but hopefully everything's okay. I haven't heard a siren like this. Really, I guess it's Yom HaZikaron or Yom HaShoah. All right, so
take a commercial break.
We're going to take a commercial break and try to figure out what the hell is going on. It's Louis live in IsraelSportsRadio.com.
You're tuned in to the only all-sports talk network in the Middle East, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Body and Soul Gym in the heart of Talpiot. Great machines, excellent staff, and wonderful classes such as Pilates, yoga, and kickboxing. Give them a call at 02-678-8861. Once again, that's 02-678-8861. www.body-soul.co.il. Once again, that's www.body-soul.co.il. That's Body and Soul in the heart of Talpiot, which is great for your body and your soul.
You're already using a credit card every day. Why not feel good every time you make a purchase? When using the HAS Advantage Support Israel Visa card, a percentage of each purchase you make will be donated to your choice of 24 Israeli-based charities, while still earning a reward point for every dollar spent. But wait, these rewards are even better than the standard rewards you get, especially when using them towards Israel travel, with the best conversion rate on El Al's Matmeed Frequent Flyer program. Earn double points at some of your favorite supermarkets and restaurants in the U.S., as well as discounts all over Israel. If you love traveling and supporting Israel, HAS Advantage is the card for you. Just give us a call toll-free at 1-866-6-ISRAEL. Sign up right now with the code ISR10 to earn 2,500 bonus points. That's 1-866-647-7235. HAS Advantage. Earn rewards. Support Israel. Offer valid for U.S. citizens only. Terms and conditions do apply. When dialing from within Israel, please dial 1-800-200-818.
Israel's.
We're live on the air right now here on Louis Live. We've had some technical issues.
We're
but
good now. We're happy.
We are good.
We're very happy to say we're good. We might have to cancel or postpone one interview. Unfortunately, we'll see what happens. We have 4 people scheduled for the next 35 minutes. So I don't know how that's going to work. But we're going to call our friend Daniel Carroll at Indiana University.
And I was told in the green room in the commercial break we could talk about things outside of soccer. That's why I'm still here. And we could talk about things outside of Indiana University, which also
we'll see about that. All right. We'll see
okay. All right. We'll see.
No, but okay. So we told Daniel we're going to call him up right now. We want to apologize again just for that. I know I've apologized plenty of times, but we want to apologize that we
have a great show and we're professional and we want only the best for our audience and our fans.
Exactly. And this rarely happens. All we have to do is restart our equipment and kind of mess around with it and get everything plugged in the right place. And that's what you have to do sometimes in radio. We do the best we can with what we have. So we're going to dial up right now our friend Daniel Carroll. Hopefully there's no problems here.
And Daniel's been very patient, too, because
we appreciate
we communicate with him about all this.
And we apologize to Brian earlier, if you're listening, Brian, because it was us, not you.
Right.
So I feel
he moved to another landline.
He moved to another landline. So Brian, we apologize. We'll have to have you on again. Let's hope everything works.
Yes, and Didi, by the way, check out the store by clicking on the store tab on IsraelSportsRadio.com. Books, hats, T-shirts, all that stuff.
Hi, Daniel. Can you hear us?
Yep.
Great. You're on Louis Live on IsraelSportsRadio.com. We want to again apologize to you for putting you on that hold and trying to figure everything out, but you're on with us. And how you doing?
I'm doing great. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be on. It's cool. Yeah, glad you guys worked everything out. Trust me, I know audio issues and things like that, so that's something new to me.
It's something we could bond over.
Right, and obviously I was telling our listeners before we had all our shenanigans that you were the director of radio at IU. Everyone on the station who's a loyal listener knows my love for IU. Even Ari knows that I
Yeah, you've mentioned it once or twice on the program.
Once or twice. Go Hoosiers, if anyone's listening from B-Town area. But Daniel, I want to start off and talk some soccer. Ari is not going to join us for this segment because Ari hates soccer, but I'm trying to get him.
I don't hate it.
You don't like it.
I don't care for it.
You don't understand it. But so Daniel, I want to ask you, Euro's coming up on Friday. It's a very, very exciting thing for me because the NBA Finals will be going on during the Euro, which is just a dream come true for someone like me. A lot of talk about we've had Tommy Smith on last week. He said Germany is going to win, mark it down. He predicted them to win the World Cup and the last Euro, and they lost. Spain won, of course. What are your thoughts on Germany leading the way and finally getting a title for their country?
Well, I think the thing with Germany is that they just have so much depth. I mean, you even saw it with Bayern Munich a little bit in the Champions League. They were missing a few of their players, and I think they were German as well, and they ended up putting up couple, bringing up a couple of youngsters and bringing up a couple other backup guys. I mean, it just shows how this country has turned around since. I mean, I'm trying to remember 2004 because I had my show on Monday. I did a lot of research for it, and I'm actually blanking exactly how they did in '04, but it wasn't very good. And then Klinsmann and Yogi Low turned the program around, and it's kind of like, I don't know if Tom Crean turning around Indiana is the greatest example, analogy of that, but in a way, they really rallied the country around and a lot of good youngsters on the squad. And I would say as good of a team that they are now, they're going to be still a good team for the next 6-7 years because you've got Mueller and you've got Cruz and you've got Gotze and I mean just a lot of good young players. They've got a really strong defense as well. And I think that's the difference between them and Holland and Spain is that they have the attacking, but they also have the defense and the goalkeeping. And Holland doesn't exactly have the defense. Spain doesn't have the defense without Puyol. So. There's no reason why they wouldn't be favorites, but I personally I'm a Netherlands fan, so I'm probably going with them. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Spain versus Germany in the final once more.
Right, and as you mentioned, Netherlands, one of their main concerns, actually their biggest concern in my opinion, is definitely defense. And we'll see what happens there. But Spain also, Puyol is instrumental. I mean, the heart and soul of this team has done everything for Barca the last few years. And it was sad to see that he was out. A lot of guys are out this tournament from all over Europe. England, I want to talk about that next. England's teams to lose someone every day. What are your thoughts on England's chances in a pretty interesting group? Maybe not the best group, but a lot of talent in the group.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a good group to watch, Group D, because when you've got, I mean, even Sweden's not too bad, and Ukraine on their home soil plus Shevchenko is in, so I mean, who knows how they'll do? And I mean, here's the thing with England, the way I see it, is that Roy Hodgson knows that they're not going to win this tournament, so he's just picking a squad. Kind of, I wouldn't even say for the future. He's just picking a squad to partially appease the media and the fans and partially whatever. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't even make it out of the group stage because not only are they not good, but notoriously in tournaments they're awful. And I mean, they didn't even make it to the Euros last time. That was a different story. But when you fire your manager in February and you have a tournament coming up in June, the new manager's not going to have a lot of time to find his kind of guys and his players and figure out who's really the best for the squad. And so. The way I see it is that England's kind of chalked it off as, we're just going to go out there, play 3 games, try our best, probably going to lose all, well, I wouldn't say lose all of them, but probably not going to make it out. If we do, then, even better. I think they're just trying to lower the expectations, to be honest, and just really focus and look forward to World Cup 2014.
Yeah, and it's funny, I think for the first time, the media in London or England is not going to be saying this team's going to win, because that seems to be the problem in England is every year they go in with these high expectations and they lose in the quarterfinals or even, I don't know, I can't remember the last time they made a final in any major tournament. So I think that might be good for the Brits. 66, there you go. I knew it was back in the days. And if you think about that, do you sit down and think about that? Obviously, my opinion, the Premier League is the best soccer league in the world by far. I don't think there's anything even close. I know that's maybe a bold statement. But I love it. When you think about, we just said 1966 was the last time. That's crazy, and a lot of amazing players have come through. A lot of great talent. So maybe the no pressure and no media howling them and saying you have to win. Maybe that'll help them. Who knows? Of course, I think a big mistake, and I want to get your thoughts on this, is that for 4 or 5 months the speculation was that Harry from Tottenham would get the position, and then suddenly at the last moment he didn't, and that really hurt Tottenham in my opinion, and also hurt the team because then they got Roy Hodgson, like as you said, a month ago or 6 weeks before. So, do you think that kind of caused some problems in England with everything?
Yeah, I think just the fact that your national team manager, the guy who famously led Real Madrid to their title over Barcelona a couple years ago, and was former well, actually, I don't know. I'm trying to remember if he was the Italy coach or not. But obviously, I mean, Capella's got a great history in general as a coach and or manager, whatever you want to call him. And yeah, I mean, it puts the country in turmoil, I think. And you know, I'm sure the speculation. I heard your interview, by the way, your guys' interview with Tommy. It was great.
Thanks.
And I agree. I mean, I think that the speculation, you know, kind of caused a little bit of unrest in the training room in Northwest London, because you know, you think about it, you don't know if your coach is really either going to be around or if he's going to be paying attention to you guys. Might cause you a little bit of unrest while you're training, and you need to have good training sessions to put it on the field. And if you have some bad training sessions, it's going to come out bad on the field. And I think that's kind of what happened. I'm just looking at that from, you know, my former high school all the way up to high school playing career. But I mean, whenever we had a bad practice or something, it usually came out that way in the next game.
Right, and I want to ask you, now sticking with the England team, a lot of controversy that Ferdinand from Man U wasn't selected, and of course, that being a lot of people in the English media, or maybe in the world soccer media, are saying that's because they don't want to have conflict with John Terry, because we all know what happened with Rio Ferdinand's brother earlier in the year, all the racist claims. So, do you? I mean, take away all that, you know, personal inner dress room drama. Don't you think it's ridiculous that Ferdinand, who had a really good season with Man U, and I think it's at 86, 85 caps for the national team, is not participating just because of that?
No, I don't think it's ridiculous at all. I mean, it's the manager's choice, and if he makes a choice, regardless of what it's for, I mean, honestly, I don't think Terry should be there either, because he obviously hasn't proven himself to be a good enough person. And I think that Ferdinand is getting old. He's 33, and you know, if they want to give a couple other guys, younger guys, a shot, then let them go. Like I said, England doesn't care about this tournament, and it's very obvious to me that Hodgson is preparing for the next one. And so, you know, what's the point of bringing Ferdinand and Terry there if they're not going to be at the World Cup? They're going to be 35, each of them, or 34 and 35, whatever. You know, so they're going to be. They're not going to be at the next World Cup. So you got to try and find the next center defense pairing. You might as well start them off here.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point about Terry. I haven't actually heard anyone say it, but you're right. He didn't have the best year. And also, not only that, but everything that he's charged with, if he does get charged with it, and I think that everything happens in July, that will make...
Yeah, and I mean... Sorry to interrupt. I think the other thing, too, was that I thought Rio's reaction was awful. I mean, come on, you're a professional footballer, but that's not the end of the world. You play for 10, 15 years, and that's it. And you know what? Obviously, it's disappointing, but like there is more to life than going to Euro 2012. There is more to life than getting snubbed for Martin Kelly. You know, like it's really not that big of a deal. They were going to lose anyway. You know, he's got to look at it from the big picture and not look at it as like a whiny little baby, because he's older than that, and you expect more out of it. I don't know. I thought it was very childish the way he responded.
Interesting. And as you mentioned, Martin Kelly will be replacing him from Liverpool, and I just think it's funny there's a lot of players from Liverpool on the squad just because they had such a horrible year in the domestic league, you know, in the Premier League. So that'll be interesting to see what happens. Like you, I don't expect much from England. But you never know, because we never really expect much from England. So maybe they'll surprise us this year.
Exactly.
France, in the meanwhile, very strong team, in my opinion, I think can make a lot of noise. What are your thoughts about the French national team?
I don't know. I mean, it'll be interesting to see. There's a lot of new faces on the squad. I think it's a much younger, I would say internationally less experienced side. But it's a lot of guys coming in off good seasons. They have a couple guys from Montpellier just won the league, and they brought in Villa and some other good youngsters that are, you know, they might only have 4 or 5 caps to their names, but they had excellent seasons. And, you know, if they kind of all put it together, you know, maybe they can end up having a good tournament. I could easily see them, because I think they have the quality to go into the semis, but I think it all depends on, I mean, the one thing about the French squad is that a lot of, or almost everybody's playing on a different squad, so, I mean, you know, and I think anyone who's ever played organized sports knows that, you know, if you put yourself in a new group with different people, it takes a little while to adjust, to get the chemistry, to figure out, to know instinctually, you know, is this guy going to make a forward run to his right, to his left? Where does he like the ball? To his feet? You know, and to be able to think of that in a fraction of a second takes a little while. So if they can all gel together and work together. I think they certainly have the talent to go a long way. And like I said, I think on my show on Monday, I picked them to go into the semis.
Wow. Okay. Very interesting stuff there. We'll see what happens there. As you mentioned, you're a big Netherlands fan. We'll see what happens. Obviously very strong midfield and attacking presence for the Dutch, or the Orange, just like what they go by. Switching now, we have about 2 minutes left, and again, I want to apologize that we haven't had enough time, but our whole programming's kind of got messed up, so we'd love to have you on again. But I want to talk to you about the Israel national team, because I know you watch, I know you're a fan, I follow you on Twitter, and I want to get your thoughts on the 2-0 game or match against Germany a few days back.
It was just uninspired. I mean, you could just from the way I was watching the Israeli squad, you could just tell they weren't into it. I mean, to be honest, Germany wasn't into it that much either, but they just are way more talented, and Israel knew that. It was just one of those games where Israel knew the outcome didn't matter, and it showed on the field. And I mean, the other funny thing too is the fact that it was pouring rain in Leipzig in Austria, and it just looked like the Israelis were so out of place. Like, what is this water falling down from the sky that normally doesn't happen any time, right now? So I just thought I thought it was a little ironic, and I just thought their play looked very stale, it was kind of like, I don't know if you saw it, it was someone like Team USA last Sunday against Canada. I mean, it was just pretty uninspired football, and wasn't exactly fun to watch. I mean, to be honest, they didn't even look that much better against the Czech Republic as Israel did. And I mean, obviously the scoreline showed that too, giving up that late goal.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. Unfortunately, I'm also a Canadian citizen, so when the Canadian national team plays the United States national team, I actually root for Canada because all my family lives there. And it was a big teco in Israel. You say big tie for the Canadian team, which has really struggled the last few years. And Dwayne Rosario, who plays, I believe he plays for DC United. He believe he was the MVP of the MLS last year. Maybe you could help. I'm not the biggest MLS person, but I think he was very...
not last year, but a few years ago, yeah.
Okay.
I think in like 08, 09.
Right. He leads the national team in goals. I love watching him play when he plays for a national team. I don't watch him when he plays in domestic league in America because, no offense, I just don't like the MLS at all. But I want to leave you with this. We're going to go completely to the other side of the world, go back to your side of the world, and talk some hoops. How impressed were you by this Boston Celtics last night?
I actually didn't catch too much of the game, but I saw bits and pieces of it throughout the night as I was kind of moving around a little bit. But I was somehow found a television to watch the game, and yeah, I mean, the thing is that everyone came in expecting Miami to just completely roll over Boston, and Boston has played, I guess, with such incredible guile and smarts and just every little thing that they could possibly do to rest themselves and to make sure that they're ready for a game, they do, and they're getting huge contributions from their bench. And I mean, Ray Allen's doing great, and I think the officials are calling some weird fouls too, to be honest. But I mean, that really shouldn't influence the game too much. And I mean, I think that if LeBron and Wade really want to, that they can just take over a game. And that's what they need to do. But half the time they kind of defer to each other, and that hurts them. And Boston knows exactly how to play with each other, and they figured it out. And it's just amazing that Boston was thinking about trading Rondo when he's probably the MVP of the series.
Right, and Rondo, who's been tearing it up, I believe, 17 points, 11 assists, 6 rebounds for the whole series. I want to introduce my co-host for the next 2 hours. Aaron is in the house. Aaron, how you doing?
Great.
I think that we have a family member who chatted into our webpage from you, Aunt Beth. Aaron, does that ring a bell from SoCal?
Sure.
All right, Aunt Beth, we appreciate you listening. Daniel, unfortunately, we're going to have to let you go. We want to apologize about all our technical difficulties. We'd love to have you on again, maybe next week, to talk some Euro. We're going to have a lot of soccer on. It'd be great to have you on maybe the same day as Tommy. He's coming on the 25th, so let me know if you're interested about that.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Just send me an email again, but I'd be totally down to come back again. That'd be great.
Absolutely. All right, Daniel, thanks a lot, and have a good day.
No problem. Lead out.
All right, that was Daniel Carroll from Indiana University. You just missed it. Aaron. That was the director of IUWX radio programming. He also works for the Big Ten Network. We right now are going to call our friend Andrea in Italy. Never have called Italy before. But we are going to talk some NBA playoffs with him. And I'm actually going to let Aaron do that with you guys. Talk about the Celtics game last night. I don't know, did you get to catch it, Aaron?
I didn't.
You didn't? Okay, so maybe I will not let you do that. But we'll get to something exciting. I know you're a big NFL fan, and we're going to have on later Upton Bell, who was the first general manager of the New England Patriots back in the day, and now is a prominent talk show host. So we're going to call Italy right now, and we're going to hope to get a hold of Andrea. He told me that his English is not very good, just as a warning for our listeners, but we're very excited to have him on, and hopefully he will pick up and everything will be okay. So we're going to dial him up right now. Hi, Andrea, are you there?
Yeah.
I'm there. Good. You're on Louis Live on IsraelSportsRadio.com. Thank you so much for joining us. We're sorry about all the technical difficulties today, but we're happy to have you. And I have been told that my co-host here can speak some Italian, so go ahead, Aaron.
Ciao.
Okay. Ciao.
Ciao, come
no
va?
problem. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And I want to get with, obviously, you're in the basketball journalism media section in Italy. It's very exciting to have someone on from Italy. We've had some people on from England and France, but never an Italian. So thank you so much for joining us. I want to talk to you about last night and that amazing performance by the Boston Celtics and really my man KG, who just took over the game in the fourth quarter. I was hoping you could tell our listeners what you thought about that match.
The Boston Celtics is a good team, very good team, and KG has proved that he's the heart of the Celtics with Rajon Rondo, and Paul Pierce too do a good job. The main heat are only LeBron and Wade. The rest of the team have a little impact on the game, and also Chris Bosh isn't in shape at the moment, so they have a lot of problems. Sorry, I can't hear you.
Do you think that the Boston Celtics can close it out at home tomorrow night and kind of shock the NBA world?
Yeah, the Celtics have a very good chance to come into the final, to come into the finals. But I think it will be Game 7 because the Heat are a very tough team to beat anyway.
Right, and I mean it'll be very interesting to see how the Heat respond. I mean, LeBron looked pissed after that game last night. I watched the game here in Israel, and he looked very upset at his teammates who really didn't do much in the second half. No player on the Heat had more than 9 points besides Dwayne and LeBron, and that's not good enough. So can you tell us some Heat players that we should look out for in Game 6 who, could have a good impact?
Sorry, I can't hear you very well.
I was saying...
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, I can repeat it. Can you tell us some Heat players that you'll be looking out for in Game 6 to make an impact on the floor?
The player? That?
Heat players. Miami Heat players.
In Game 6, they have to improve is Mario Chalmers and Mike Miller too have to score to make a job.
Right. Right.
Andrea, it's Aaron Krolik here. Io ho studiato in Firenze like 10 anni fa. It was great. And I wanted to tell you that I see that you do writing in Milan. Is this true? In Milan?
Yeah.
Are you in
I
Milan?
live in Piacenza, near. It's about 1 hour from Milan.
Vicino a
It's a
Milan.
small city. It's a
See.
small city near Milan.
Cain. I'm talking in Hebrew then, because I just said Cain. So I'm mixing up Cain and C. I'm speaking a mixture right now, Andrea, just so you know, of English, Italian, and Hebrew in my head as I'm trying to figure out how to best communicate you here with Israel Sports Radio. And I think you're doing actually an awesome job of speaking English, and we understand everything you're saying. What we really want to know, though, from you is, do you think that the Heat can come back and win 2 games in a row and take the series?
Yeah, I think it will be possible for the Heat.
And what do you think about the
the
San Antonio Spurs doing the same thing in the Western Conference?
The Spurs is a little different because they are not very in shape at the moment. People like Tony Parker, Tim Duncan, and Manu Ginobili has a little
Now,
some little problems.
Let's
in
talk about
the last 2
Ginobili.
games.
Let's stop at Ginobili right there. That sounds like an Italian name. Do you know anything? Where did he? Can you tell us? Is he Italian?
Argentina.
Oh, he's Argentina. Excuse me, Andrea.
Yeah.
Continue beyond Ginobili. Keep going.
I can understand. I can't hear you very well from my phone.
Okay, Andrea.
Sorry.
Andrea, we wanted to ask you a little bit about some Italian players right now who are playing in the NBA and representing your country.
Yeah.
That would be Gallinari on the Nuggets, who had a great year this year, had a breakout year with the Nuggets. Broke his foot, though, at the end of the year. I am a Raptor fan, Andrea, so I want to ask you about Andrea Bargnani. And I want you to, what are your thoughts on him, and how come he hasn't developed into the superstar yet?
Bargnani has done a great season, a great regular season, but the Raptors are not such a good team, so they have more. He has more responsibility and more shots to make. So that's why he has increased his statics. But it's a good player, a top player for the league. I think one of the best power forwards in the NBA.
Aside for basketball, we have about 2 more minutes with you before we switch. It's Aaron again, Andrea, and we thank you for having you on Israel Sports Radio today. It's nice to connect. It's nice to see our station globally connect with other sports writers. And we're actually taking a look at your Facebook page right now, and we're reading up about you, and that's what this is about, connecting. And we wanted to just ask you, what. With the minute we have left, what is hot right now in Italy? What are you working on? What are you passionate about right now with sports?
I'm working for two free sites, online sites about basketball and other sports news, like ipsanews.info and itsport.com. And I also collaborate with Eurobasket.com from providing news from Italy, news or rumors from Italy.
Right, and
Italian leagues.
And Andrea, we're going to be having the general manager of Armani Milan on. I believe his name is, maybe Aaron can help me with his pronunciation. Aaron, want to give it a shot?
Gianluca Pascucci.
Okay, the GM of Olympia Milan.
Yes, we're going to be having him on our show. We're very excited about that. We connected with him about 3 days ago. He agreed to come on, and we're very excited about that. So This year, the Milan team was very strong. They played our Maccabi Tel Aviv. I'm sure you know a lot about Maccabi Tel Aviv, writing for Eurobasket. I want to ask you and let you go with this question, Andrea. What are your thoughts on Maccabi Tel Aviv and what they bring to European basketball?
Maccabi Tel Aviv is one of the best team in Europe. They have a really good organization and great players too. So they have all to compete with the best in Europe.
Absolutely.
Teams such as Montepaschi Siena or Barcelona, Panathinaikos, Olympiacos are all good team. Also, Maccabi is in that league, in the elite league.
Okay. Well, Andrea, we want to thank you so much for coming on the show today and giving us some perspective from Italia. Good luck to your team in the Euro this upcoming weekend.
Okay.
Good talking to you, Andrea.
I wanna. Yeah. Sorry.
Good talking to you.
Thank you you all, and let's see you on the basketball floor. I guess.
Sounds good, Andrea. Talk to you soon. All right, so that was Andrea Bargnani. No, excuse me, not Andrea Bargnani. That's a Raptors player. That was Andrea from Eurobasket Italy. Great stuff there. Like Aaron said, his English not the best, but he did a great job with us trying to understand what we were saying. And I think he did a good job. What do you think, Aaron?
I mean, I'm just amazed that you were up last night at 3 o'clock watching the game live. Is that what you're telling the audience?
That's how I roll, man. That's how I do it.
Wow. I mean, it's not like I didn't see the game. I saw the highlights. Raphael, give me a second. I mean, I'm qualified to know that the Kevin Garnett show is back, and it kind of looks like the Celtics. I'm not going to make any prediction. I don't like. We were talking about this earlier, getting our guests to predict. And, I'll make a prediction. I don't think the Celtics are going to hold them off. I think the Heat are going to come back and win 2 in a row. It's a crazy world, and we know that firsthand because, we're in Israel.
Exactly. And now we're going to dial up our next guest, Zach Woosley from a soccer writer, does a lot of stuff. And we're going to talk to him about Euro and all the exciting stuff going on right now in the soccer world. And then we're going to talk to... Hi, am I speaking with Zach?
This is him.
Zach, you're on Louis live on IsraelSportsRadio.com. Thank you so much for joining us today.
You're no problem. I'm glad you guys were able to have me on.
I want to ask you, we've had a lot of great soccer guests on the last 2 weeks in prep for the Euro. I want to go straight to it. I want to get your favorite and who you think is going to win and why.
If I had to pick a favorite, I think I'm leaning toward Germany at this point. I know they haven't been impressive, especially in their last match. They looked like a defensive mess in their last time out. But there's just this team is well built, they're experienced, and I think they'll be comfortable. And I know Spain's probably a popular pick, but there's just a lot of questions around that team right now. And there's a lot of wondering of whether or not they'll be able to step, whether guys who haven't been in form will be able to get in form. If they do, then I think they're the natural favorite. But for me, I just have a funny feeling that Germany is going to be able to win this tournament, especially considering some of the other powers are struggling and have some issues. I think will clear up their path a little bit for them.
Zach, hi, it's Aaron Krolik. I'm the co-host today of the show. And going back to your pick of Germany, if you had to pick, let's say, their top 5 players, if you could rank them for our audience, tell them who are Germany's studs and where do they play when they're not playing for their national team?
You'll have to give me a second to think. For Germany especially, it kind of starts up front with Mario Gomez, a guy who is kind of been one of their big goal scorers, kind of the engine of that team, and a guy that I think they're going to lean pretty heavily on as far as for getting results and for making sure that they are able to do as well as they want to do. Sorry, I'm stalling this a little bit. Is like get my information in front of me. I need another big guy for them is computer. Apologies, guys.
I know
Mario Gomez plays
yeah.
for Bayern Munich. He's fresh off the Champions League campaign.
So does Schweinsteiger.
He's a big,
right.
And he's a big part. Can you hear me?
I was going to say Schweinsteiger also plays for Bayern Munich, and then they
a guy like Bastian Schweinsteiger in the midfield. The biggest, as far as ranking for though, number one for me has to be Mesut Ozil.
Me too.
Real Madrid.
Me
He's
too.
an engine. He's a guy who had a tremendous season for Madrid. He was a big part of their success and a big part of the reason they were able to break through against Barcelona. So he's probably at the top for me. A guy like Gomez behind him. Schweinsteiger is very important in the midfield. Philip Lahm, the team captain, is going to be a big part of this, a defender. He also plays for Bayern. A lot of Bayern Munich players on this team. And, I put Manuel Neuer in there as well. I mean, a good goalkeeper is essential. It's maybe even cliche to say, but without a goalkeeper, it's very hard to succeed, obviously. It's one of the more key positions, and Neuer is a guy who's been in big positions and can definitely play the position.
Right. And, it's funny. Mehmet Ozil, he just came on the scene. I mean, he had a really great World Cup 2 years ago. But before that, where was he before that? Before Bayern Munich. Before Madrid, yeah.
Rack my brain at this point.
I know, right? He's actually, he's one of my favorite players too, and he's definitely, I would say, their top player. I agree with you. I think it's going to be hard for Spain to come back. They just won the World Cup, and then they also won the Euro 4 years ago, right? So to actually,
they've got that. They got that pressure off of them. I mean, Spain was looking for the big international successes. They got it with the last European tournament in 2008. They won the World Cup in 2010. So that sort of that monkey is off their shoulder in the sense that they've gotten those results in the big tournaments. Is the fire still there? Is the drive still there for them to succeed? And if it is, and they can find it, they're still an extremely good team. They're very talented. They have a ton of good players. I just wonder if that fire is there, and I wonder if the long, grueling seasons that a lot of their players have been through was going to catch up with them a little bit.
Did you get a chance to watch the Champions League final? Of course
Yes,
you did, I'm sure. It was like when Schweinsteiger missed that goal, I think it just was like, it was so painful. And I think he's going to want to come back and have a great Euro, to prove that he is one of Europe's studs. Where is England amidst all of this talk?
England, I think, is a team that's going to underachieve. In fact, I don't think they're going to get out of their group. I'm picking them to falter only because of injuries. I think if they were completely healthy, if Frank Lampard was there, if some of the younger guys that aren't available, a guy like Jack Wilshere was there, maybe they could do enough to get through. But without that, and the fact that it's just a team that you don't know what to expect because of Roy Hodgson only having been with them a month. Hodgson is a tremendous manager in terms of setting a team up instead of setting up his organization and playing a system that he wants to play. And he'll get there with this England squad over time. But can they adapt fast enough? Are there enough guys that are going to buy into what he's trying to do in the short amount of time that's been offered to them to where it'll be able to be successful? I think they'll be very organized. I think they can be successful. But I just think they're set up to struggle, and I just don't know if they're going to have enough in terms of offense with Rooney not being able to play in the first couple of matches. Is there enough talent to get them through? And I just don't see it. It's one of those things where there's always pressure on England. The media is always wanting them, putting way too much pressure on them. But I think for once, maybe they need to back off because Hodgson's the right guy in my view, but it's not going to happen right away. Now, that said, they could come out and surprise everybody. But I just think they're going to struggle with France. France is very strong, and I have a funny feeling Ukraine's going to be better than a lot of people think, and they'll be able to keep England from moving on to the next stage.
Another interesting thing about England is that the Olympics are there, right, in 2 months. So, I mean, I'd have to imagine that England's going to be playing in the. Are they in the Olympics this year, Raphael?
I believe they are, and
go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, no, they're in. Of course, the Olympics are under 23, and so a lot of the players involved in the Olympics won't be involved in the national team. They can't take some senior players, but yet, that's a team. It's also Team Britain, which is
Great Britain,
the first time in a long time. So it's a little bit different mix. Obviously, they'll want to do very well in that, but it's one of those things where I don't really think that any of the key players involved in that are the kind that are going to affect be a big part of Europe. Now, it doesn't mean that a couple guys from this squad won't necessarily be in the Olympic squad, but I guarantee anybody who's on that national team right now heading to Ukraine and Poland is focused on that. The least thing they're worried about is the Olympics. that's something
Right.
that if they're involved in it at all, they'll deal with that when they're done with their campaign there.
Right, and Zach, you're back now with Rafael. I want to stick with this English national team. As you mentioned, you made a great point. There's been a lot of talk in the media the last 40 years that this team's going to win, this team's going to win, then they go and they don't win. So I think for the first time in a long time, I think the British will be very happy to know that there's not so many high expectations going into the World Cup. The team is very young in some places, very inexperienced. As you said, Wayne Rooney's out the first 2 matches. Danny Welbeck's been playing really well. I think he had a goal against Belgium the other day. A lot of young guys on this team. Alex Chamberlain, of course, 18 and had I think 16 caps for Arsenal this year. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. But I want to talk a little bit more about the injuries, and some of these injuries were freak injuries. Gary Cahill breaking his jaw. I mean, when was the last time someone in soccer broke their jaw? And all these kinds of injuries that seem to be really hurting this team. So I want to ask you, actually, before I ask you that, I want to, something that I noticed you said to Aaron is you said you believe that Roy Hodgson was a good manager or the right call. So I disagree. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that more.
Look, he's a guy that isn't flashy. He's not, going to go out and make waves in the press. He's not going to go out and do crazy things on the sidelines. He knows how to set up a team to play a system. And more than that, he knows how to set up a team to play the type of game that can be successful in an international tournament. If you look back at some of the results, like when Greece won the Euros roughly a decade or so ago, even to a point Spain, as flashy as they were in the World Cup, look back at their statistics. They didn't blow people away with a ton of goals. They played an organized system. They did what they wanted to do, which was control the ball, they defended, and they won, and they got the goals they needed. In an international tournament like this, in these short knockout stages where the pressure's on, you've got to perform, sometimes the simpler you keep things, the more organized you are, sometimes the better defensively you play, can make all the difference. I think Hodgson is the type of coach who can take the talent that England has and adapt it and work it into a system, get the guys that are going to be able to do the job he needs them to do, instead of trying to be something they're not. I think one of England's biggest problems has always been this assumption that they are a better team than they really are, that they are the best in the world, that they invented the game, so therefore they should just be able to naturally succeed at the game. What they've needed is a manager to come in and to say, no, this is what we're going to do. We're going to find our talent. We're going to fit them in. We're going to find guys to play this system. And I think it can be effective at the international level. I think Hodgson can do a really good job with this, because I think for once you're going to have a manager that doesn't care about the egos, that's going to look past a lot of the stuff that's entered in the past, and simply try to put together a team. And Hodgson's success right away, I don't think is going to be there. I think the success will be long-term as long as he's given time by the FA to do it.
Right, but I think something that I won't say I'm a Spurs fan, I'll say I know a lot of Spurs fans, and they were devastated. Well, I don't know if they were devastated. They wanted Harry to stay, obviously, but as soon as all that speculation started in January that he was going to take over, February, March, the Spurs played horrible. There's no other way to put it. They were in contention for, maybe a top finish, but definitely top 3. Can you talk a little about that? Do you think that Harry's, rumors that he was going to be the new coach kind of caused problems in the dressing room in London?
Well, it's one of those things we'll probably never know, but I certainly think it is a correlation. You can't not be affected by the things that are swirling around in the press. I mean, we've seen in many sports that if enough nonsense gets going, enough rumors get going, people are going to get distracted. That's your natural reaction. And if you're a player and you're wondering, well, what's the future going to be? Is he going to be there? Is my contract's coming up? Should I make a decision? Should I start trying to go somewhere else? So those little things can add up and distract a football team. And did it even distract Harry? It's certainly possible. Spurs fans, the ones that I know and that I talk to, it's always a mixed reaction about Redknapp. You got some who really like him, and some who were excited about the inconclusions they wanted them to leave because they don't like him. Whatever you're feeling about Redknapp is, he's done a lot of good things with the Spurs side. But one thing that they have done is in key moments they haven't gotten the job done. And that's what happened again for him this season. And it was disappointing, and it didn't help either that they get their hearts ripped out at the end after finishing 4th and then losing their spot because Chelsea went on and won the Champions League. So I think it was a distraction. And you know what? Maybe this, with Harry's connection to England done, with all of that done, maybe they can come back next season and rebound, as long as Harry can hold on to key guys, because you know that the Waters are going to be hunting. The Sharks will be in the water looking for guys like Gareth Bell,
Exactly.
Luka Modric,
And
signing.
Gareth,
so holding on to guys like that or replacing is going to be key.
right, and Gareth Bale is actually my favorite player in quote-unquote Great Britain, of course, because he's not from England. And I believe there's a lot of controversy about him playing this year in the Olympics, but we won't be getting into that. But he's an amazing, amazing talent, really helped the Spurs this year. A lot of rumors that he's going to leave, a lot of rumors he's going to stay. I think we're going to see what happens with that. I believe, I could be wrong, based on your accent, I'm guessing that you are based out of America. Is that correct, Zach?
That is correct.
So, gotta ask you, being in Israel, being a huge Arsenal Emirates fan, gotta ask you about some of the speculation that Clint Dempsey is going to be playing at the Emirates next year. Do you have any thoughts on that?
You know, I'd love to see him play in a club like Arsenal. Honestly, I just want to see him. I want to see him come through on what he said. And the biggest thing he said is that he wants to play Champions League football. And you know, every player aspires to play in the Champions League. And Redknapp can try to play it down all he wants, but it's important, and it's something that people are interested in, and players want to do. It's the next step in your evolution as a player. Dempsey has been great at Fulham. The fact that Fulham gave him the opportunity, the fact he's been able to grow there and improve as a player, it's been a fantastic opportunity for him. Would it be fine if he stayed there? Sure. But you know what? Sometimes it's better to move on. And I just want Dempsey to move on to a team where he can play at the top levels in Europe, both for him personally and for as a chance to a further exposure of American soccer. If it's Arsenal, great. If he fits in and he works there and he can play, that's perfect. The key thing is being able to play. He doesn't need to go somewhere where he's going to sit on the bench or be behind other guys. So if Arsenal's the place for him, I'd be fine with that. If going to Spain, a tiny team like Malaga, who has got Champions League ambitions, maybe Germany, a team like Mönchengladbach, something like that, whatever works for him as far as happiness and his family, but also being able to play. Because the last thing I want him to do is go somewhere he's going to sit on the bench. I don't think that's necessarily what happened to Arsenal, but there's some talent in that midfield. And you have to just make sure he picks a place where he's going to be able to play. Because the one thing that Dempsey needs to do is just have time. Because, A, it helps the American national team because we need him as fit and playing as much as possible. But also just for the fact that a player that good who's made such a inways with Fulham become a player that people are talking about. I just don't want him to go somewhere and disappear.
Absolutely. And Zach, unfortunately, we have to go. We appreciate your time. Love to have you on again throughout the Euro. We're really going to pick it up here at Israel Sports Radio with our soccer coverage, and you provided some great analysis, so thank you for coming on today.
Thanks, Zach.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
All right, Zach. That was Zach Woosley. He covers soccer for a lot of different magazines and different publications, SB Nation Soccer, managing editor for the Dynamo Theory, World Soccer Reader, and was a producer and on-air talent for Champions Soccer Radio Network, which is actually a pretty cool network. I've heard of it. Okay, so now we're not going to go to commercial, and again, we want to apologize for everything today. It's been a crazy day with our equipment just randomly shutting off during our show. That never happens, but we're back on, and we're going to be calling our good friend Jim Williams, and I'm very happy to say that Aaron has never spoken to Jim. Jim is a very loyal friend of the network, so I hope you enjoy it, Aaron.
Who is Jim Williams?
Who is Jim Williams? Jim Williams is a 7-time Emmy Award winner who provides, in my opinion, the best analysis of every sport. You will see for yourself.
Here we go.
We have him on for 15 minutes. Then we have Gina Miller from Texas. Then we have Steve. Then we have Upton Bell, which is really the crown of the show, and then Stephen Howard on the show. And then we'll tell you about tomorrow's guests. And
everything going.
Hi, Jim. You're on Louis Live on Israel Sports Radio. How are you doing?
I'm well, thanks.
Jim, I just want to introduce you to a new co-host today. His name is Aaron. I'm not trying to pronounce his last name, so I'll let him.
Jim, it's Aaron Krolek. Hi.
Krolek. Okay, got it.
Hey, Aaron, how are you?
And believe it or not, Jim, we are actually talking to you from Jerusalem, Israel. Believe it or not, even though we're all speaking English and we're going to talk about sports, we are in Israel and we have listeners, and we are excited to have you here today.
I'm very happy, and it's always a pleasure to be heard throughout Israel, and I know that there's a lot of sports fans there, and I know that we're going to talk some soccer, some basketball, and heaven knows what when Rafael's in charge. So we'll figure it out.
Right, Jim. And I want to start off with some NBA. Had a lot of great guests on the show this week from the basketball world, different media publications, and everyone said, no way, Jose, will the Heat lose Game 5 at home? Not happening. And what do you know? Domination by KG and the Truth in the fourth quarter. Rondo even didn't have the best game. Either did Pierce, really, the first 3 quarters. Really struggled shooting the ball, but somehow the Heat again got no help from the bench. 9 points was the highest score after LeBron and Wade. Jim, can the Heat come back? And if not, is Spoelstra out? I mean, what's going to happen with Spoelstra?
Well, the answers to your question are yes, they can come back. And secondly, I think that Boston proved something that you and I have had a number of discussions about over the weeks, and that is that Doc Rivers and the Boston Celtic team and team in general usually can beat superstars regardless of how talented, and no one would ever doubt the talent of LeBron James and certainly Dwayne Wade and even a diminished Chris Bosh. But nevertheless, it's going to be tough for Miami to come to Boston Garden because all the pressure is on. I mean, Boston's playing with house money. I mean, they literally, they come to the Garden, all the pressure is on Miami. And Eric Spoelstra cannot coach in the same league with Doc Rivers, okay?
That's true.
There's no way. It doesn't happen. All right? He should receive a bill from Doc Rivers after the game on how much, on how to coach. And I say that, and Doc can do that to many coaches in the league. There are many guys who should be, receiving a bill from him. But no, Spoelstra's gone. There's no question.
Right.
And Spoelstra's gone because not necessarily because of his inability to coach, because he's only got what he's got to coach. I mean, he's got 2 superstars, Bosh, a third superstar in there, and then 6 guys who are role players. I mean, it's very difficult. It's not a team, and I keep trying to tell people that. You can't win without a team. It's not a team. Yes, it's a team in name, but no, it's not a specific team where everybody has roles to play on the team, and that's a problem that Miami's going to have, and they're going to have it again if they get to the finals. And if Boston gets to the finals, well, then we'll see 2 teams playing in the finals because certainly OKC and both the Spurs play as teams.
Right, and, Jim, I've also been saying that. I think I said it to you a couple times. You've said it to me, and we have agreed. This Heat team is not a team. It's 3 superstars, and that's a bunch of random guys. And, the thing about the Celtics teams, if you look at it, when they made their big 3 back 4 years ago, they still had a guy like Rondo who could distribute the ball. When you look at this Heat team, I'm just going to start naming the guys who play. Joel Anthony, with all, not to be rude, but he's just a big body down there. He doesn't score. Ronnie Turioff is really washed up. I kind of feel bad for him. Mike Miller and Shane Battier have not done a good job since they've been in Miami with anything. Battier has really struggled since he switched over from Memphis. And then guys like Norris Cole and Mario Chalmers, it's just like a flip of a coin. You don't really know what you're going to get from them. It's difficult to watch because I'm not a LeBron hater. I never have been. I actually love LeBron. I really, really love him. I think he's the best player in the NBA, and I think there's no one even close to him. I even will say that as an overall player. I won't say a better scorer or a better shooter, but it's just sad for me because I really don't think they're going to win this year. And again, he's going to get a lot of hate, and it's really not his fault. I think it's actually spectacular what the Heat have been able to do without Chris Bosh, in my opinion, just with Dwayne Wade, who's really struggled too, by the way. I'm sure you what are your thoughts on Dwayne, Jim, just really not being able to – something's off. I mean, I made a comment on the show yesterday. Maybe he's getting divorced from his wife. Maybe his kid has a – I mean, something seems off in his demeanor and in his game.
But I think that part of it's Boston. I mean, Boston – you can't take everybody away. You can't take all 3 of those guys away.
Right.
Okay, well, Bosh is out. it's difficult to take from a Boston standpoint. It's difficult to match it up and take LeBron out of that game. It's not as difficult for Boston, body-wise and size-wise, to make life hell on Dwayne Wade. And I think what they've done is they've said, fine, let's do everything we can to alter Dwayne's game and make LeBron beat us. And, LeBron has done pretty well, and certainly, Dwayne has done as well as he can, given the fact that they have basically, tried everything humanly possible, and I'm talking from Doc Rivers' standpoint, to disrupt Dwayne's game. And, if you're going to take one guy away, they'll basically say, fine, here's the opportunity to beat us, and that's where the problem is that you're not getting the points from the supporting cast. And that's where, we just talked about it. Mike Miller's not giving you the points. Guys are just not stepping up because they don't know specifically what their role on the team is. I mean, they know that it's basically the big three, and by the way, we're here. What do you want us to do? Well, does Mike Miller is a guy capable of scoring 25, 30 points a game if need be. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to do it every game, but he's got that good outside shot. If you need him to take the outside shot, then that's what you need to do. But if he's not in cycle in the system on a regular basis, and you're not rotating him around and giving him the open opportunities, he's not going to get into the rhythm to make that shot. And that's the thing. It's like a pickup game versus a team. You've got three guys and two guys who we just picked off the street. And I don't mean that these guys aren't talented. They're all talented. They just don't know what their role is on that team because they don't play like a team. They play like, get the ball to LeBron, get the ball to Dwayne, they'll figure out what to do with it. And if you watch the guys on the Miami Heat team, they're running around, but they're not necessarily, doing it in any specific way that helps set the other two guys up.
Right. And, Jim, I want to ask your thoughts about Spoelstra deciding not to play Bosch in the fourth quarter. I really don't understand that at all. I think it makes zero sense, but hopefully you'll have some thoughts on that.
The only thing I can imagine is that Chris either didn't feel he felt that he might hurt him, or that he wasn't, or that he wasn't ready. Meaning that, physically that he might strain something and then be out again. So, I mean, I'm just looking at this as, from a coach's standpoint, normally that's the reason you don't play somebody is you're protecting them from injuring themselves. And I can only assume that that's what Eric did. If he's saving them, then he might be saving them for next year because they may not be around to see, a seventh game.
Right, and it's going to be very interesting to see what happens in Miami this year because if they don't win, we're gonna. I mean, Miami's gonna have problems. I think Spoelstra has to be out. I don't know how you don't fire him. I mean, do you see it any way, Jim, that Eric comes back next year?
I don't. And again, he's not the whole problem. But, the old adage, it's easier to fire one guy than it is to fire, in the case of, a professional basketball team, 16. Yeah, I mean, there's no question he'll be gone because he's had, arguably the most talented trio of players in the NBA, but hasn't been able to figure out how to come up with complementary players to make it work. But I certainly, this silliness out there that Phil Jackson or Pat Riley or is going to come back in next year and coach this team is silliness. I mean, there's no way that first of all, there's no way that Riley and Phil are in the same building, and I
That's
just don't
a
think
great
Phil
point.
Jackson wants to come back and coach anybody anymore. I think he's had plenty of time in the coaching business. I think with his knees being as bad as they are, that he's just enjoying life with Jeannie Bussin, and that whole situation has
Right, and
calmed down. But there's plenty of good coaches out there who could come into the Miami situation and settle things down and perhaps build the kind of team that it takes to work with these superstars.
And Jim, I've just kind of been tossing this name on around the show the last couple of days. What are your thoughts on maybe Jerry Sloan? I know he's not used to not playing in that kind of environment, of course, being a longtime coach with the Jazz. But it'd be interesting, in my opinion. I want to get your thoughts on this because I have a feeling.
Well, Jerry Sloan's a fantastic coach. I don't think there's anybody that would. He did a wonderful job in Utah.
Right.
For many years. I don't. I think Jerry would be certainly Jerry's a guy who knows the game and is capable of crafting a team together. I'm kind of thinking that they would go younger and try to find somebody who can, be a little bit more related to what's going on in the league and more of a Jerry would be coming in more of a disciplinarian type guy. I mean, that's how he ran the show for all those years in Utah. But, would Jerry Sloan be a bad pick? No. I think Jerry Sloan would be a fine pick in Miami.
Oh, interesting. And, Jim, we have about 60 seconds left. I got to ask you some college basketball stuff because there's been some new news out there. VCU will be staying in the CAA for one more year, but Butler will be making the direct jump. And with that being said, that means next year we're going to have Butler, Temple, and Xavier in the Atlantic 10. That's pretty exciting for me, Jim. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I think it's no question. It's all good for the A10. I think that it energizes anything that energizes college basketball is good for good for sports. It's a great situation, and I think that absolutely. And to be honest, it's also good for the CAA that they get one more year of VCU because Shaka Smart. Really, it's kind of like they can have a little bit of a victory lap, which everybody gets a chance to say, "Okay, you're leaving now. Let's take it out on you." So that ought to be a fun final season of getting one time around the CAA because the CAA is not a bad league, and I think it ought to be fun to see how they react to one last shot at VCU.
All right, Jim, thank you so much for your time. It's always a pleasure, and we will speak with you next week. And next week, I think for the first time in a long time, will be Ari and I with you. So thanks again, and have a good day, Jim.
All right, guys. Be well. Pleasure
Thank
chatting
you.
with you. And Euros 2012 starts on Friday. Should be interesting stuff over the weekend when we Sunday when everybody gets a chance to sit down and watch. The key game for me on the first one is France and England. That'll be the real tip-off fun one. Okay, guys.
And Spain, Jim, since you can't start talking about soccer with me and expect me to hang up on you.
I was just going to leave you with that. Go ahead.
Italy, Spain, I think will be very interesting just because both teams have a lot of problems, and I think that Italy could shock the world and win that game. I actually predicted Italy to win a week ago on our show. We'll see what happens.
You're the only one.
I'm the only one, but then again, Jim, I also picked
but that's a good thing. That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
But if our segment was longer, we would have examined the Euro. But unfortunately, we've had complications today. But again, Jim, thank you. Next Wednesday, we're talking Euro.
All right, buddy. Take care. You guys have a great Shabbos.
All right,
Bye-bye.
thanks, Jim.
Shabbat shalom, Jim.
All right, so now we're going to be calling Gina Miller, and my man Aaron is going to be doing this. His specialty in the sports world is football. So luckily for us, Gina Miller, our next guest, her family is listening right now in Tiberias, so shout out to the Miller family in Tiberia. We're going to dial her up, and Aaron's going to talk to her about Cowboys, a lot of big stuff going on. Jerry Jones opening his mouth as usual, doing all his blah, blah, losing some cornerbacks, I believe. a lot of interesting stuff in Dallas land. Of course, Romo, that's something I think Aaron probably touch up on. Been there for a while, hasn't seemed to really get this team in the right direction. So I'm going to introduce Gina for our listeners, and then it's going to be Aaron for the next 12 minutes. So please stay with us. At 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, we'll be having Upton Bell, which is a great guest, and at 12:30, Stephen Howard from the Oklahoma City Thunder studio, an analyst. So we're dialing up Gina right now. And we're very excited again to say that her family's listening right now in Tivelia, up north. We're in Jerusalem, as Aaron said earlier. And we hope that Gina picks up. And how about those sirens earlier? Oh, here's Gina. Gina, are you there?
Yeah, I am. How are you?
Great. You're on Lewis Live on IsraelSportsRadio.com. Thank
Gina,
you so
hi.
much for joining us. Aaron's here.
Gina, hi. Aaron Krolik and Raphael Geller from
Hello.
Israel Sports Radio. We've been waiting for
Thank
this
you for
hour.
having me.
Yes, thank you for coming on. And we're a couple minutes late. We were supposed to call you, I believe, at quarter till the hour. We're about 3 minutes late, and we have a lot to talk to you about today. I know you want to send a shout out to your family listening. Do you want to go ahead and do that right now?
Sure. My dad lives in Tiberias. He's from the States, lives here in Texas for 30 years, but he lives in Tiberias, right there along the main strip.
That's amazing.
Hello to Dean Miller.
It's about an hour. It's about an hour north of Jerusalem, maybe about 2 hours north of Jerusalem.
Exactly. Yeah.
And we're broadcasting, of course, from German colony in Yerushalayim, and we're at the center of the sports world here, and we have you on, and we know that the Cowboys. We want to get right to the NFL here. We're always talking NFL. At least I am. I'm always thinking NFL, and my friends are, and people on Twitter. There's always news about NFL, and with the Cowboys, I feel like there's so much to talk about, and I feel like, can you give our listeners in Israel and around the world, a couple of hot topics right now that are surrounding the Dallas Cowboys for their upcoming 2012 season?
Sure. I mean, Cowboys are always such, like you said, a hot topic because people either love them or they hate them. They're always one of the most highest rated teams whenever the games are broadcast nationally. Everybody wants to always know about the quarterback. When it comes to the Cowboys, that's who it starts with. And Tony Romo, it's like a lightning rod here in Texas and really across the country. People either love him or they hate him. And quite frankly, a lot of Cowboys fans are a little tepid on Tony Romo because while he had a great season last year, numbers-wise, he continues to not lead this team into the postseason and into playoff success, at least according to Cowboys fans. And he's someone who's facing a lot of pressure this season. Cowboys owner Jerry Jones recently came out and said that his personal window of opportunity, if you will, was closing. And while he was referring to himself, his own personal window of opportunity, a lot of Cowboys fans and people who covered the team took that as to mean the Cowboys' window of opportunity to win, to get back to the Super Bowl, to win their sixth championship in franchise history, that window is closing. So the pressure's on this team. Cowboys owner Jerry Jones said, hey, I've made every personnel move to give Cowboys head coach Jason Garrett the tools he needs to be successful this season. And Jason Garrett is very much about the process. He's a very methodical, straight-laced kind of guy. So it's going to be interesting to see how those two guys go forward.
I agree, Gina. That's a great segue into this. But we were just talking about Jason Garrett, and watching a number of Cowboys games last year, whether it be on the NFL Red Zone channel or on national TV, we saw Jason Garrett literally blow some games. I think you would agree with me. So I always kind of find myself defending the Cowboys because I don't believe there is. I believe they're a solid team. I just believe that some games don't go their way, and some things just happen in the NFL. But I think that they've made steps with getting DeMarcus Murray, their awesome new running back, who's he's basically at the top of fantasy football charts everywhere, and they have Des Bryant, so they have some really young guns. To go along with Jason Witten, who's healthy, and a healthy Miles Austin. I don't think the offense is that much of a problem. We have to worry about the Rob Ryan defense. And, whether or not the defense can hold up against, later in the season when injuries come in. But, that this seems to plague every NFL team. What are who have the Cowboys? Can you tell our listeners if what moves specifically have the Cowboys made in the offseason, if you know of any, to get better?
Oh, yeah, you talked about defense, and defense is the one area in which this team has addressed. They've kind of churned the roster, if you will, gotten rid of the old. Brady James is no longer with the Cowboys linebacker. Terrence Newman, the cornerback, no longer with the Cowboys. He was sort of posterized last year when he was hurdled in one of the games last season en route to, I believe it was the Giants game. One of the opposing team's players just jumped over him en route to the end zone. Terrence Newman was a great player for the Cowboys, but his time has come and gone in Dallas. So the Cowboys have addressed their needs in the secondary specifically. They drafted Morris Claiborne. They traded up to draft Morris Claiborne, a cornerback out of Louisiana State University. They signed Brandon Carr, another cornerback from the Kansas City Chiefs.
I
they
forgot
paid him
about
more
Carr.
money this offseason than anybody else, $51 million.
Right.
So focusing on defense and the secondary specifically because it was a poor defense last year. So that's going to be interesting to see how the Cowboys secondary is going to respond and rebound and not necessarily rebound, but just sort of come together and adapt to the Rob Ryan system. Rob Ryan came in here last season basically telling everyone that he was going to have the best defense in the NFL. He's a very brash guy. You got to love him for that because he always gives you something that's interesting and fun to hear. How the team responds in the second year under Rob Ryan is going to be a real storyline we're going to follow. And every team is dealing with this, but the Cowboys used it as a little bit of an excuse last year. They didn't have the mini camps, the off season, the training camp because of the NFL lockout.
Great point.
How this team responds going forward is going to be a real big story.
That is such a great point you make there, Gina. That offseason hurt a lot of teams last year. They got off to some really poor starts. And
they didn't have the issue that the Cowboys did.
Let's talk about more NFL football. Anything else you're hearing in your neck of the woods? Any rumors, anything having to do with teams, any teams that you think might surprise people this year? My Chicago Bears, look at their offseason. What an offseason. Michael Bush, Brandon Marshall. They go out and get the best kick returner, Eric Weems from Atlanta. They sign, they go out and they draft a stud from South Carolina, Ashton Jeffrey. This receiving core is all of a sudden, one of the top receiving cores. Give our listeners, a couple opinions on what you think of the Chicago Bears, and maybe even what you think of some other teams that are going to give the Cowboys a run for their money this year.
Well, one storyline we're really following here in North Texas is what's going on in New Orleans, the New Orleans Saints. They're sort of our neighbor. Louisiana is neighbors right up to Texas, and the Saints have obviously, had won to the Super Bowl, won it a few years ago. Everyone here in town is curious how the Saints are going to respond, considering Drew Brees hasn't reported to organized team activities, which are going on right now, as well as the team's minicamp, which is coming up. The New Orleans Saints put a franchise tag on Drew Brees. He has yet to sign that franchise tag. He wants a deal. The man wants to get paid. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. So, you can make the case he deserves to get paid. So we're all really interested in how he's going to proceed with the Saints. Is he going to sit out a year? Is he going to play this season? What's going to happen with Drew Brees in New Orleans? And then you bring up the point about the Chicago Bears. Jason Campbell, how is he going to adjust to this new role? How
another player, another signing by the Chicago Bears.
Team?
Yeah. And we don't. I don't know how you feel about the Houston Texans being a Dallas Cowboys reporter.
Oh.
Can we go there? Are we allowed to go there right now? Let's talk. Yeah, go ahead. Tell us what you think about the Houston Texans.
Houston and Dallas have a very much of a love-hate relationship. They're about separated by 4 hours driving time as the crow flies, north to south, and Houston hates Dallas. Dallas hates Houston, and it goes all the way down to the football teams. The former Cowboys head coach, Wade Phillips, is now the Houston Texans defensive coordinator.
Right.
He did a phenomenal job in Houston last season, and to the dismay of a lot of Cowboys fans who thought he was the problem, I think as it turns out, Wade Phillips is a good coordinator, perhaps not so much a good head coach, because in Dallas, players will tell you that he sort of lost this team. What's interesting is that some of his players are now playing down there in Houston. The Texans signed former Cowboys linebacker Brady James, who at one point really was the leader on this Cowboys defense. He may have lost that leadership role this past season. But the Texans, their defense has just blossomed and flourished under Wade Phillips. They went to the playoffs, and we all know that the Cowboys did not last season.
Right, but Houston did lose Mario Williams. So, and also they helped, kind of beef up their running game a little bit, although you can't really beef up more when you have Arian Foster and Benjamin Tate and Derek Ward, but they went out and signed Justin Forsett. It's now the receiving core, which is most ironic that they're questioning, even when you have Andre Johnson, who's probably the best wide receiver pound for pound in the NFL. Now, who are you going to put with Andre Johnson? You have a Kevin Walter, who's been off and on. Jacoby Jones, I believe, is gone. I'm trying to think why, the Texans didn't. I feel like they haven't made any moves for any receivers. They have, and then at tight end, I believe Joel Dreesen left. He went to sign, I think he signed with Denver, with Jacob Tamme. So Dreesen left, and now, so they have Owen Daniels, who was injured a couple seasons ago, but he came back last year. But I still think, their offense, and especially now we know about Matt Schaub. We know he has the arm. We know he has, I've seen him have some pretty bad interceptions and fumbles late in games, like where you're just thinking to yourself, wow, how could he just do this? And that's the Tony Romo. You have those Tony Romo moments,
The Tony Romo ism.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have it, but, and that's unfair. I don't even like going there. Who likes going there with the Tony Romo isms? Because we know that quarterback is, I think it's the hardest position probably in all sports. I mean, you have to lead the team.
Yeah.
And Tony Romo, he does a great job at. So does Matt Schaub. I love staying on the NFL. Is there anything else that you want to talk about in terms of what you're covering right now down there in Texas besides the Saints scandal, which, it's kind of gotten, it's sad. It's a little bit sad that coaches go this far for such. And it's, we're talking about a couple $1,000s, and I mean, it's like, what? But I bet you it happens more than we know around the NFL. Because if it's happening.
You can go to, I do a pregame show, a Dallas Cowboys pregame show with Randy White, former Cowboys defensive lineman who was a Hall of Famer, And I worked for the Cowboys for 3 years. I mean, I know a lot of these NFL players. And the Saints Bounty program, when that news broke, I think a lot of people were saying, really? Tell me something I don't know. The Saints' problem is they just sort of got caught. And when you hear the video, or hear the audio rather, when you hear Saints defensive coordinator Greg Williams saying, hey, we want to knock these guys out, when you hear the audio, it's pretty damning. It's some pretty telling audio, and it's pretty indicative of perhaps the culture within that Saints locker room. But I think you'll hear a lot of NFL players say it's not that much different from what was going on or what is going on in our locker room. I think NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell is trying to make a statement, and he's being very, very emphatic. This will not happen under my watch in my league, and he has a no tolerance policy for any type of behavior of that nature. So at least he's being at least he's in line with his policy and continuing to adhere to it. And he's being strict, and he's not wavering from that at all. Here locally in North Texas, we're obviously focused on the Texas Rangers. They're the best team in the American League. They've gone to 2 straight World Series, and they have not won. They lost to the Giants in 2010, and then they were just basically an out away twice last season against the St. Louis Cardinals. So, can they go to a 3rd straight World Series and do what they weren't able to do the last 2 seasons is a story we're following. And, in Texas, we followed this team and we covered this team very closely, and the All-Star voting numbers were just released yesterday across the country here in the U.S., and the Rangers, by and large, are killing other teams in All-Star team voting. Josh Hamilton is the leading vote getter, the Rangers outfielder, who has won American League Player of the Month honors for the last 2 seasons. He has 2.5 million votes for him. So it's kind of interesting to us here in Dallas-Fort Worth who cover this team that the rest of the country is sort of in on this team and seems to be rooting for it as well.
You know, Gina, our 15 minutes is up, and it was such a pleasure to have you. I know that was the quickest 15 minutes in Israel Sports Radio history. We could have you on again. We will have you on again. We're going to have Raphael call you. You are going to be someone we are going to be talking to a lot this year because the NFL East is going to be a great division in football, and probably the Rangers are going to be around come late July, August. September, October, exactly. We're going to have you on, and if you go ahead and tell our listeners where we can follow you online, if you tweet what your Twitter name is, and go ahead.
I actually tweeted that I was going to be joining you guys, so
great.
You can find me on Twitter at @thatsportsgirl, that THAT Sports Girl. It's pretty simple. I have my own blog. It's thatsportsgirl.blogspot.com. My television station is cbsdfw.com. I work for the CBS affiliate here in Dallas-Fort Worth, but been over to Jerusalem before, been to Tel Aviv, done it all over there, ran the Jerusalem Half Marathon in 2008. So I know the city well. It's one of my favorites.
Hey, listen, come visit us in the studio sometime, and we'll buy you a falafel.
I would love to.
And we'll talk about whatever you want. All things Texas.
And Gina, this is
do that.
This is Raphael. Now I wanted Aaron to do the interview with you, but again, I wanted to thank you. We always like adding friends to our show. We have Mark Stein from ESPN as
I know Mark really well.
Yeah, Mark's a great guy, and we're going to have him on, I believe, next week when the final starts. So it's great to add another Texan to our show. And we hope that your father enjoyed listening, and we'd love to have you on again, and have a great day out there.
I do too. Thank you so much, guys.
Yom Tov.
Thanks, Gina. Bye. All right, so now that was great. I just thought of something, guys, for our listeners. When we had all those problems, I was told by someone who knows a lot of stuff about technical stuff that the sirens could have messed with our equipment because it's the sound waves. And the siren's very strong. Of course, it has to be heard throughout all of Jerusalem. After checking up with some people, we found that it was what's the word in English? Like sirens that to make sure that nothing's going to happen. Those are sirens that you hear when missiles are sent over to Israel. So we're lucky that it was just a test and nothing real. Baruch Hashem to that. But I just wanted to maybe say that I think that's why we had so much problem with our equipment. Anyway, it's our pleasure to interview a very, very well-known talk show host and the former New England Patriots general manager, worked for the Baltimore Colts. I know this is a special treat for Aaron because he's a very big NFL guy. And we're going to be dialing up Upton, and we want to say hello now to all his listeners listening in from Boston. I know he gave us a plug on his Facebook page and maybe on Twitter. If he has Twitter, we'll find that out. But welcome to all our Boston fans. We love Boston fans. We've had a lot of great people on. We have a good friend, Kyle Draper from Comcast New England, who came on with us last night in Miami to talk Celtics, and great stuff with him. So we're going to dial up Upton now and make sure he's doing okay. He had a knee injury. I'm sure all you listeners in Boston know that. Some sort of injury, required surgery. We had a scheduled interview a couple weeks ago, but he got hurt. So we're hoping he's feeling better. And we're dialing him up. Hi, am I speaking with Upton Bell?
That's why I said shalom.
Upton Bell, you're live on Lewis Live on Israel Sports Radio with Raphael and Aaron. How are you doing?
I'm doing fabulous today.
Good. We got to, before we get into everything, I got to ask you, how's your health doing? Have you recovered from your surgery?
I have recovered. In fact, I'm ready to take the court against the Miami Heat.
That's good to hear. Your Celtics are doing an amazing job. I'm going to talk with you a little bit about the Celtics, and then Aaron's going to talk to you about all New England Patriots, a lot of great stuff coming in next year. So, Aaron.
Hi, Upton. How are you, Upton?
I'm doing great.
Let me ask you. I'll ask you in Hebrew. Ma shlomcha. And you're supposed to say.
Ma shalom.
You're supposed to say mitsuyan, and that means excellent.
Mitsuyan.
Perfect. All right, Upton. You said it first. We had last night from Comcast New England, Kyle Draper, a good friend of our program who was in Miami. We talked a lot about the game. Everyone made their predictions, and I'm not going to lie, everyone picked the Heat. So what's going on in Boston? How did they pull off that win last night? It was remarkable.
It's called heart, and you guys ought to know you're in the Middle East, and you're survived as a country because of heart. You're surrounded on all sides, and I look in a different way in sports, the same way with the Celtics. They're old, they're injured, but they have great basketball minds, and they have a will, the likes I haven't seen in sports in a long time.
Right, and you said it best. The truth, known as Paul Pierce, did not have a good game the first, 3 quarters, but in the fourth quarter was great. Kevin Garnett, who I love, he's one of my favorite players, so much heart, so much tenacity. And I got to ask you, Upton, what do you think about Rondo's comments in Game 4 at halftime when he said that the Miami Heat were complaining too much, and that's why they were able to score so much on the offensive side?
Well, first and foremost, the great thing is that he's one of the few players that will tell the truth.
Right.
That aren't phony and don't say things just for the sake of saying them. The Miami Heat have been bitching all along, complaining instead of playing basketball. They don't play as a team, and when they don't get the calls, they bitch and moan. Rondo probably shouldn't have said it, but everybody was cheering when he said it because he told the truth.
Right, and you made a great point. Rondo's not afraid to tell the truth. And you know something interesting, Upton? I thought it was very, very interesting that even after Rondo made that point last night during the game, same thing happened. Dwayne Wade fell to the floor. The foul was not given to him, and he just stayed there on the floor, took his time, and ran back. And by the time he got back to defense, Paul Pierce laid up an easy bucket. So, I mean, is this bad coaching by Spoelstra, or is this just the Heat players being lazy?
Well, I think it's partially bad playing by the not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6. You know, when they got together in Miami, bad playing by great individual players, but I don't think the coach Spoelstra is able to control these people. And I think God himself, Pat Riley, is probably sitting in the stands and saying, what the hell do I do here? Because he certainly can't replace him now.
Right.
But the difference is the Celtic players, guys, they listen to their coach. They play as a team. They have sublimate their egos. These guys, their egos are bigger than team.
That's true. I mean, and River is just such a passionate guy. I know the players absolutely love him, everything he brings to the team.
Hello?
Yeah, Upton, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, I think we lost there for a second. I was saying I completely agree with you. Doc Rivers is known for being one of the best coaches in the NBA, and not just being a good coach, but being a guy who really truly cares about the game being played the right way and all about passion. And there's so many great players on this Celtics team, and as you mentioned, there's no ego with them. I mean, they all work as a team. And even let's give credit to some of the bench guys who really had some great games last night. Michael Pietrus played lights out. He played tremendous, had a lot of great three-point shots and drove the ball. And, of course, the guy from Wisconsin, I'm blanking on his name. I believe he's a rookie. Greg Stietzman, I believe is his name. He played really well in the limited minutes he had. So could you touch Upton a little bit on the X-Factor players for the Celtics and what they bring to your Celtic team?
Well, here again is why all of America that watches basketball is rooting for the Celtics, and normally they don't. The reason is their bench is depleted. First and foremost, if Avery Bradley was playing and didn't have the two shoulders that would be operated on, he would shut down Dwayne Wade. they really lost something when they lost him. But when you look at Brandon Bass, who's their fifth man and a much bigger improvement over Big Baby Davis, and then you look at Stiesma, who never played until the age of 27 in the pros, and particularly Michael Petrus, who not only hit those big threes last night, but he has to guard God himself, LeBron James. So they have gotten great contribution off a bench that can't match Miami's bench. I mean, listen, I never really get too high or too low about any of the games I watch. But I'll have to say, for the first time in my life, I have really rooted for this team because in an era of overarching egos, this team really represents something that we all like.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I mean, it'll be very interesting to see if they can close it out in Boston Game 6. Again, I think no one's going to be rooting for them. Everyone's going to pick the Heat. I remember watching the pregame show on ESPN, Michael Wilbon, Magic Johnson. They all picked the Heat, and I think even one of them said that it'd be a blowout. So, gotta love this team, gotta love the heart. And, it's been a pleasure for me to stay up in the morning here in Israel till the wee hours, till 5, 6 in the morning to watch this Celtic team really play as a team. And I'll tell you, Upton, something that's very meaningful to me is I grew up in a household where Bobby Knight was always the most important thing, and teamwork was the most important thing. So seeing this Celtic team kind of reminds me of that 1975 team where they went undefeated with Scott May and all those great John Laskowski and all those great guys, because all those guys were great players. I mean, they all went on to the NBA, but they knew what they had to do for the team to win. And that seems to be exactly what the Celtics are doing. I'm not comparing Doc Rivers to Bobby Knight, but I'm saying that I've been very, very impressed by Doc Rivers. He's definitely outcoached Eric Spoelstra, and I'll be rooting for the Celtics to go all the way, and it'll be very interesting to see what happens. And now, Upton, you have an amazing resume. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Guys, just before we get to football, because I do want to get into that with you, let me just say something about the ESPN crew and Magic Johnson in particular.
Okay.
Magic Johnson was a great, great player, one of the smartest players of all time, a bright businessman. But he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about when he talks about the Celtics and this particular team, the Heat. And most of that panel have gotten it wrong because they looked at the easy way. These are three great individuals, and we see them going all the way. The best crew is the TNT crew with Charles Barkley and company, who really tell it like it is. So I don't pay much attention to that panel on ESPN. I'm sorry, but I don't.
No, interesting. That's the panels are very different. I believe that TNT's panel just won an Emmy Award, or Charles Barkley did. I love listening to TNT, but that's a great point there. Interesting stuff from Upton Bell. We're on right now. For our listeners that are just tuning in, we're on with Upton Bell, who is a radio talk show host in the Boston area and also a former American football executive. And now I want Aaron to come in to the picture and kind of talk to you about football and your amazing resume. You've been around the league for so long in the game. So here's my co-host, Aaron.
Upton, hi, it's Aaron Krolik from Israel Sports Radio. We're so happy to have you on today. What time is it there by you?
I'm happy. It right now is 12:15 in the morning.
Okay, that makes sense. It's about 7:15 here in Jerusalem, and we're still talking sports. And I wanted, just before we get into football, I wanted to ask you something. We talk a lot on the station right now, and we're kind of ripping on the Miami Heat and Spoelstra. Meanwhile, the series isn't over, and we've seen a lot crazier things in sports. Everyone's talking like the Miami Heat is in last place and they didn't even make the playoffs. And I think that there's still 2 games to be played, and we'll see what happens. That being said, tell our listeners one thing. What does it mean when people say, I think that Doc Rivers outcoached Eric Spoelstra? What is the definition of being outcoached in your mind?
Well, first and foremost, most of the people that say this don't know what they're talking about. Doc Rivers doesn't necessarily outcoach Spoelstra because Doc Rivers has a group of players that listens to what he has to say and understands at strategic moments in the game when he tells them what they need to do, they're like coaches and do it. Spoelstra is not so much being out-coached. He's dealing with a group of individuals who are more interested in how they get the ball and get themselves in position to score. So it's kind of unfair to Spoelstra because I think if Spoelstra had a different type of team, you would see a different type of coach. So believe me, guys, when I tell you, the people who watch this game and have never coached it or play it don't have a clue.
That's. I mean,
I hope I answered your question in a roundabout way.
You are totally roundabout with that answer, and it's funny. Yeah, the sports people get their news from so many sources nowadays. Just going to who you read on Twitter, who you're following. All of the newspapers are online. You have sportscasters all over the country, and people have their own opinions. And it's amazing that people have. There are people that get paid, to do this, to do sportscasting, and according to you, they don't even know what they're talking about. And we listen to them, and we try to sort through them analyzing these games. But who really knows? I guess it's up to yeah. Go ahead.
Listen, the great thing about talk radio is everybody has an opinion.
Yes.
Right.
And that's what talk radio is about. I have no problem with that. But when some people come on and talk about a game that either haven't played it or coached it or been in that type of situation, then I just accept it as an opinion, but I don't accept it as fact.
Interesting.
For instance, the color commentary on the games has been terrific because the man who is talking about the game coached the game and was in the game and really understands what is going on out in the court.
Right.
And I think that's the advantage we have in watching them on ESPN.
Right, and of course you're taught for our listeners right now who aren't been watching you, of course, talking about former Knick coach and a lot of other stuff, Stan Van Gundy.
Van Gundy,
yeah, right.
Terrific.
And Upton, tell our listeners a little bit about yourself. I mean, you have such an interesting story. I'm just here on looking up your name, Upton Bell, and we see that you started out with the Baltimore Colts in 1960 working as a dressing room attendant. Tell our listeners maybe and if you can in a short time, because we want to ask you so many more questions about right now, but tell us kind of how you got from a dressing room attendant to, a world-renowned sportscaster.
Well, first of all, let me start by saying any of your listeners in Israel and the Middle East, if they want to get a great book on the story of my family and partially on my life, get a book called On Any Given Sunday by Bob Lyons of the Associated Press.
Right.
Okay.
My father founded the Philadelphia Eagles, was a co-owner of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Bert Bell, correct?
Invented the pro football draft.
Wow.
Invented sudden death overtime. Was commissioner of pro football from 1946 to 59. Changed all the rules of pro football. And I'd have to say, if he didn't come along at the right time, I don't think the game would be, outside of soccer, the number one game in the world. So my background was that I went to the Colts after graduating from college, worked my way up through the organization to, at the age of 24, the director of player personnel, which is all the drafting of the college players for the pro football draft. And then we, of course, went to 2 Super Bowls lost in the 1968 famous Joe Namath I Guarantee Super Bowl. We won in 1970, and then I came to the Patriots as their general manager for 2 years and was fired in a dispute with the owners. I went on to own my own team in the World Football League with Arnold Palmer, and then came back to Boston and ended up in radio and television for the last 35 years.
And a lot of...
That's a short synopsis.
That was perfect.
Right, that was
And now,
exactly what
because-
we were looking for.
This is only something that you can do. And your mother was a Broadway actress, which is even...
My mother, that's where I get my first name. Here's an interesting story, guys.
Tell us.
And get the book. I didn't write it, and I get nothing from it.
It's called
just-
Any Given
it's been
Sunday.
a big seller in Europe.
By Bob Ryan. Any Given Sunday.
My mother...
Yeah.
Yep, my mother actually lent the money to my father to buy the Frankfurt Yellow Jackets out of bankruptcy for $3,500, and he renamed them the Philadelphia Eagles on the day that they got married. She lent him the money to buy it out of bankruptcy.
Wow.
For $3,500.
$3,500.
Yeah. Now, here's an interesting thing, too.
Yeah.
She, before she met him, was engaged to Bernard Baruch, the famous financier on Wall Street.
Right.
His son, she was engaged to. She broke the engagement and went out with my father off and on for 2 or 3 years. And his father was, at one time, the Attorney General of Pennsylvania, and his grandfather was the Attorney General and also the governor, or his brother was the governor of Pennsylvania. They were all political on one side. My mother was all show business on the other side, and my father in the middle was all football.
It's an amazing story. Your biography is an amazing story, and you drafted Jim Plunkett with the first overall pick in way back in 19. What year was that? 1960?
71.
1971.
1971. In fact, on the Baltimore Colts team that went to the Super Bowl, out of the 40-man roster, 17 of them were players that I and my group had drafted, and 2 or 3 went on to the Hall of Fame. So it was a great run. I had a great time.
The Patriots, they have been a staple, I think, in the NFL, the American sports diet, just as much as the Dallas Cowboys have been. Probably the Patriots have been there for the last, definitely 15, 20 years. They've been at the top. Why do you think that they are consistently, the Patriots are consistently awesome, yet, Upton, they can't beat the New York Giants in a Super Bowl? What is the it factor?
The it factor is the reason that pro football is the number one sport in the world outside of soccer. One game and you're out. Not the best of 3, not the best of 7.
Yep.
One game and you're out. And if you have a bad day, which they have twice against the Giants, then you don't win. But let me point out to you, the reason for the Patriots' great success, there are 3. Bob Kraft, number 1. Bill Belichick, number 2. Tom Brady, number 3.
Mm-hmm.
It's the franchise. It's solid all the time. The same people are in charge. The same discipline is there. The same type of team attitude is there. It is a great organization. It's what the Cowboys used to be. It's what the Colts used to be when I was there. It's what the Packers were under Lombardi.
When I was...
People make a mistake in doing...
Go ahead.
So what people make a mistake in doing is every time they have a losing season or something happens, they change the coach, they change the general manager, they change the direction of the franchise. You have to get a plan, you have to put it in place, you have to get the right people, and you have to keep them.
Right.
They don't do that today.
And you need and I think you hit it right on the head. You need a star quarterback. And I think that's why we're going to see the Denver Broncos really emerge this year, because I don't think Peyton Manning's out of it. I don't think he's out of it. I think he's hungry.
I would be very careful here.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why.
Why?
The type of operation he's had is so dangerous in a game that one blow and it's all over. That I would be a little, I have a little trepidation here. Certainly, he's looked good in the preseason drills. He can certainly turn that franchise around. But one blow to that neck or that arm, and it's all over.
A couple of my favorite Patriots moments I wanted to tell you was the snow game against the Tennessee Titans. Do you remember that one about 3-4 years ago? It was an absolute blizzard.
I do, but
yeah.
I do, but my favorite game, one of my top 10 favorite games of all time, is the snow game against the Raiders and the tuck rule.
Right.
Because that was the one that really made Tom Brady.
Of course.
It started this team on its run to the Super Bowl, and in some cases, I think it was the wrong call. But that's the luck of life.
Right.
But, in looking at that game, there's no way they should have won that game. They did win it, and I will say this, that until he left, the greatest clutch player I've ever seen was Adam Vinatieri.
Right.
Brady was really and has been really great.
All right, so we lost Upton there. Like I said, the connection's been really weird. We're going to try him again to finish the interview there. We had a good segment with him, though. And interesting stuff that Upton was saying. Of course, he has an old-timer's view. My father is exactly the same age as Mr. Bell, so I'm kind of used to hearing a lot of the stuff that Upton's saying. And it's always interesting to have people on with a lot of insight on things that maybe the younger generation doesn't. So I've really enjoyed it. I hope you have, Aaron.
No, I'd love to talk to him again.
And we're going to try calling him again. And we're going to have to end it, though, with him. We're going to ask him one more question about Robert Kraft, because Robert Kraft's a great friend of Israel, donates so much money to the stadium here, and been a guest on Louis Live on Israel Sports Radio. So let's see if we can get a hold of Upton, wrap it up with him, because we have Stephen Howard. Hi, Upton, are you there?
Hello?
Hi, Upton. We seem to have lost you. I just want to let you know we have 2 minutes left, so I have one last question for you. I want you to talk about Robert Kraft. He's been on our show. He's a huge supporter of Israel. He's considered one of the most passionate owners in all sports, and I'm sure you have a great perspective on him. So if you could end our segment with that, we really appreciate it.
Well, first and foremost, he's been a great businessman. In fact, I worked for him when he owned part of Channel 7 way before the Patriots. And in fact, when I was the general manager of the Patriots, he and his sons used to come to the game as fans.
Wow.
He is a tremendous businessman. He has a great passion for his team. But again, he did something that a lot of people have not done, and I'll go back to it. He put together, just like all his other businesses, he put one person in charge. He made them responsible and said, this is this is our plan. This is what I want you to do. And if you're successful, you'll stay a long time. If you're not, you're gone. So his key hirings are Bill Belichick. And then, of course, the luck of the draw, they got Brady. But the key architect that Kraft hired and will always be remembered for is Belichick, who, is not very loved in press conferences, but is a great, great coach. He has done a lot for the communities. As you've seen, he has loved Israel. He has done a lot in your country.
Absolutely.
He's done a lot for the Jewish charities and other people here. He's a tremendous guy, and I can't say enough about him as an owner, as an organizational person, and, of course, his wife was one of the dearest people you'd ever meet, Myra Kraft.
Absolutely, and we were very, very sad in Israel to hear about her passing because she was very instrumental in the Israel Football League here. Mr. Kraft bought a stadium in downtown Jerusalem, donates a lot of money every year to make sure it's going. In fact, one of our correspondents is the commissioner of the league. It's starting to become incredibly popular. 10 teams all across Israel, northern Israel, southern Israel, central Israel. We love Robert Kraft. Like I said, he's been on the show, and we have so much respect for everything he does as a person and as an owner. And Upton, unfortunately, I wish we had more time, but we got to run. It's been an absolute honor and pleasure to have you on, and we'd love to have you on in the future.
It's great talking to you.
I would love to be back again. Shalom to all of you and all of the people in Israel and throughout the Middle East. And someday football will be almost as popular as soccer.
Amen.
Thanks, guys.
We'll see, Upton. Thank you so much, and have a great day.
Thank you.
All right, Upton Bell. Great interview there. Good stuff, Aaron.
Yeah, he seemed to have, you know what? He seemed, for a 75-year-old,
right,
a lot of energy.
A lot of energy, a lot of passion. We are actually going to take a long-awaited commercial. We should have taken it a long time ago, but we haven't been able to. So we'll be back in about 4 minutes. So stay with us.
You're tuned in to the only all-sports talk network in the Middle East, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Body and Soul Gym in the heart of Talpiot. Great machines, excellent staff, and wonderful classes such as Pilates, yoga, and kickboxing. Give them a call at 02-678-8861. Once again, that's 02-678-8861. www.body-soul.co.il. Once again, that's www.body-soul.co.il. That's Body and Soul in the heart of Talpiot, which is great for your body and your soul.
You're already using a credit card every day. Why not feel good every time you make a purchase? When using the HAS Advantage Support Israel Visa card, a percentage of each purchase you make will be donated to your choice of 24 Israeli-based charities, while still earning a reward point for every dollar spent. But wait, these rewards are even better than the standard rewards you get, especially when using them towards Israel travel, with the best conversion rate on El Al's Matmeed Frequent Flyer program. Earn double points at some of your favorite supermarkets and restaurants in the U.S., as well as discounts all over Israel. If you love traveling and supporting Israel, HAS Advantage is the card for you. Just give us a call toll-free at 1-866-6-ISRAEL. Sign up right now with the code ISR10 to earn 2,500 bonus points. That's 1-866-647-7235. HAS Advantage. Earn rewards. Support Israel. Offer valid for U.S. citizens only. Terms and conditions do apply. When dialing from within Israel, please dial 1-800-200-818.
Israel Sports Dynamics specializes in football consulting, equipment, uniforms, and more. Great brands such as Nike, Russell Athletics, Shutt Sports Products, and many more. Just one call away. With over 30 years coaching experience with university and professional athletes, Harry Hill, owner of ISD, can advise you for all your sports needs. Call 054-581-3248. That's 054-581-3248, or visit our website at www.isdisrael.com. If that's not easy enough, click on the ISD banner on the Israel Sports Radio website and be part of the game.
Are you tired of paying for expensive gym memberships that you don't use? Are you frustrated by not seeing results? It's time for the X1. Israel Gym Systems is proud to launch the X1 suspension and bodyweight training system. Lose weight, build muscle, improve balance, coordination, and flexibility. With your purchase of the X1, you'll receive a free membership to IsraelGym.com and access to our archives of videos and exercise plans. Sign up today at www.IsraelGym.com and get ready for the new you. Israel Gym X1. Higia Hazman.
DJ Venom. DJ Venom. DJ Venom. DJing parties throughout Israel. Birthday parties, weddings, club events, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, and much more. You pick the type of music and DJ Venom will turn your event into the party of the year. Available Sunday through Thursday. Call 052-952-6506 or email djvenom1984@yahoo.com. That's 052-952-6506 or email djvenom1984@yahoo.com. Book your party today. That's DJ Venom.
Broadcasting live from Israel.
IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Back in Jerusalem, Israel, here with Raphael and Aaron tonight on this beautiful Wednesday night, June 6, 2012. We had a great show so far. We had a problem the first hour. We have now been told that that's because of the sirens. They mess with because the sound waves that come from the sirens mess with the technology, because we have a lot of radio equipment in the house. So we're sorry about the first hour, but ever since 6 p.m. local time, 11 a.m., everything's been great. It's been very fun to have Aaron here. This is his first time here with us.
I want to thank Raphael and everyone at Israel Sports Radio for making this happen.
Absolutely.
It's fun to talk sports with you, Raphael.
It's always a good time.
And wow, we got to hear from Upton.
A legend. Upton Bell. And we're going to be in contact with him after the show and try and schedule him again. A lot of interesting thoughts. We're going to call Stephen Howard now. Stephen Howard has been on before, a very funny guy. And we're going to talk Thunder. We're really going to talk Thunder. We're going to talk 15 minutes of Thunder, in fact. Maybe a little Heat, because we've been knocking the Heat all show. We'll see how things go. And just trying to get a hold.
Hello?
Hi, am I speaking with Stephen Howard?
Yes.
Stephen Howard, you're on Louis Live on IsraelSportsRadio.com. Thank you so much for joining us today. We've had a great show, and we're very happy to finish it off with you.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And, when we first contacted you about having you on, little did we know that tonight, in a matter of hours, that your Oklahoma City Thunder could be advancing to the NBA Finals. So could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's an exciting time for the Oklahoma City Thunder, and they've put themselves in a position for such a young franchise, only 4 years on the books in Oklahoma City, to reach the NBA Finals with a great chance of actually winning a title. But they've done a great job throughout this series, and I've really been impressed with their ability to withstand the various waves of attacks from the San Antonio Spurs. And really, if you look at the series coming into it, San Antonio was a favorite because of their depth, because of their bench, because of the experience. But if you look at how this series has played out, it's really been the depth and experience of the Oklahoma City Thunder that have excelled and propelled them in these last 3 games that they've won. And, San Antonio came in with a 20-game winning streak, but really, if you know anything about sports or played sports, the fragility of the psyche of an athlete is very fickle. And I think this has really exhibited that to a great extent, because now the San Antonio basketball team, you got players on there like Danny Green that has zero confidence, and you look at the whole of the Spurs, and they're really struggling right now with that confidence.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to talk about, of course, we're in Israel. We love European basketball, so we got to give a shout out to Serge Ibaka, who played in Spain this summer and actually played Israel at Maccabi, I believe. What is going on with him? 11 for 11, making jump shots, kind of looking like Russell Westbrook out there making all those J's. What has gotten into him the past few games?
That's one thing about this basketball team, and particularly Serge Ibaka. And if you listen to Scott Brooks throughout this whole season, he would always allow Serge Ibaka as the best 17 and 19-foot jump shooter on the basketball team. And it's really just a matter of him getting those offensive opportunities. And, when you play basketball and you're in that zone, and when the stars align, it's just that perfect mix and that perfect night. And it'd be different if all of Serge's 11 baskets were dunks, which they weren't. I mean, he had jump shots, he had contested jump shots, very difficult shots that he made, and he also was 4 for 4 from the free throw line. And if it weren't for that one turnover that he had, he would have an exceptional, perfect night. But, Serge is a guy that's played with confidence all season long, and he's really a guy that once he gets active on the defensive end, it really is a boost for his offensive game. And I think you saw a mix of that in that game.
Right. And, Stephen, it's kind of biased, but you are, you work for Fox Sports Net and the Oklahoma City Thunder as a studio analyst. And I don't want to put you on the spot too much here, but when they were down 2-0 and the Spurs were, 20-game winning streak, did you, obviously I didn't get a chance to listen to you in Oklahoma because I'm in Israel, but did you really tell, your television audience that, oh, yeah, the Thunder are going to come back and be up 3-2 in 5 days?
No, I didn't, because, as a former athlete, you have to take it one game at a time.
Right.
But I did fully expect them to win the 2 games at home, And after they won those 2 games at home in the fashion that they defeated them, I did expect them to win this game last night. You look at the games that San Antonio defeated the Thunder in San Antonio, and really the Thunder were in all of those basketball games. Even when they were up 22, the Thunder were able to come back and rally and get down 6. And then the games where the Thunder defeated the Spurs in Oklahoma City, the Spurs rather didn't have those same types of rallies. So, I mean, I fully expected them to hold serve at home court because, you know, they have some of the greatest fans in the NBA, and this is a group that plays with a chip on their shoulder that hates to lose. So, no, I didn't expect it to be 3-2 at this juncture, but I did expect a 2-2, and I did expect them to win after they had it for 2-2.
Right, and going forward, tonight is Game 6. I'm sure people in Oklahoma City will be, I mean, this is the game of the franchise. I mean, without, you know, let's not talk about the whole Seattle Supersonics. I know a lot of our Seattle fans always get mad when we say they're the same team, so we won't go there. But this is huge for the city. I mean, I know Oklahoma City really loves this team because it's the only professional. I know there's a AAA baseball and I think a hockey team there, but no pro sports team besides Oklahoma. So how crazy do you think the environment's going to be tonight in Oklahoma City?
Well, I mean, you talk to any player that has played there against the Thunder, and they will tell you, you know, talking to the Dallas Mavericks, that this is the rowdiest, raucous, best fan base in the NBA. I mean, and you can just watch from the beginning jump ball. They stand until the Thunder score. So, without a doubt, I mean, this is going to be a ridiculous atmosphere and an electric atmosphere tonight. And, you know, you're right. This is a franchise-defining game tonight. You know, to be able to reach the NBA Finals, defeating, you know, arguably the best team in the NBA throughout this whole season. So, yeah, this is going to be, I mean, that's a must-have ticket, must-see TV, definitely.
Right.
Stephen, Aaron Krolik here, co-host on Israel Sports Radio. I want to just chime in and ask you, which team, let's say Oklahoma City, God willing, gets to the finals, which team from the East would you least want to see play against the Thunder? I guess, you know, which team do you think the Thunder has the most chance of beating?
You know, honestly, looking at the matchups and, you know, being around the Oklahoma City Thunder, they don't care who they play because they feel if they play their basketball, they can defeat anyone. And if you look at the records against the East, the Thunder has a great record against all the teams in the East, and they have a winning record against every team throughout the season. So, you know, I really don't think it would make a difference between the Celtics or the Miami Heat because I believe talent-wise they're better than both teams, and even the way that they're playing better than both of those teams. So, my honest answer is I really don't think it matters at this point.
Mm-hmm. Right, and you know, that seems to be a big thing for this Thunder team. They don't really care who they're facing because a lot of teams were so intimidated by the Spurs team. You mentioned earlier on our segment, Stephen, probably, I mean, I don't want to say one of the best benches of all time because they're talent-wise not so much, but one of the, I think I could go as far as saying one of the deepest benches where you have guys that are your 13, 14 guys that are going to be good in a couple of years. And, I mean, Boris Diaw and Ginobili and all these guys who, I mean, after being down 2-0, a lot of teams would just give up, and they did not give up. They came home. They played really well. Durant had that amazing. Everyone in America is using the word epic. I don't like using that word, but okay. It seems that we've lost Steven there, and this sometimes happens when we go into a third hour of our program, and we're going to try and get him back.
I mean, Raphael, you think honestly you think it's going to be Thunder or Celtics? You don't think the teams that are down 2 games right now have a chance?
I'm a huge LeBron fan. Everyone knows on the program. I love LeBron to make it, but I like the Celtics. I like what they're doing. So honestly, Aaron, really, I don't care. Really, both of them, if I see LeBron in the finals, I'll be rooting for LeBron against no matter who he plays. If the Celtics are in the I'm rooting for the Eastern Conference. I'll put it that way. What about you?
I'm the same way. I could care either way. I think that the NBA playoffs this year have proven that the NBA is back.
Right.
And more exciting than ever.
Right, and we're trying to get Steven back on, and this might be a sign from God that we need to end the show early today. It's been a crazy day with the sirens going off.
Steven?
Hi, Steven. I think we lost you there. We have about 5 minutes left. So I kind of, obviously, last time we had you on, you were pretty funny, and you said, hey, we haven't talked about my time in Israel. So I want to do that with you this time. And obviously all our listeners who are listening in Israel are more familiar than the Israeli Basketball League than all our listeners in America. But how do you summarize your time in Israel when you've played in so many different countries and also, of course, in the NBA?
I loved it. I mean, that was, some of the best times that I had was in Israel. I mean, it was almost, kind of the center of the universe, so to speak, and so much history and so much beauty associated with it. I loved the whole experience there. And actually, I'm going to be back in Israel at the end of July with a contingent of former NBA players that's going to be there. So I'm excited to go back.
And, when you're here, you better let us know so we can have you in studio. How would you like that?
He'd be thrilled.
We would love that. We always love having all our guests that we have on our show in studio. And it's funny that you mentioned that because even even our non-Jewish guests always seem to make an appearance here. Fan favorite and one of our favorites, Chris Wallace, who is a huge Israel supporter, Memphis Grizzlies GM, has been on the show before, has been to Israel 9 times in the last 10 summers. That's more than most Jews in America. So that's exciting. And what's funny, Stephen? A lot in the last few years, and I'm being really serious, more non-Jewish athletes, coaches have come to Israel than Jewish athletes. It's very weird. Amari Stoudemire came here and did a lot of stuff, some soul searching. Dwayne Wade was supposed to come here. So interesting stuff there, and we'll be very happy to have you in our homeland and have you in the studio and maybe buy you some Israeli food and show you the culture here.
Hey, love it. I love Israeli food, love everything about Israel, so I'd love that opportunity. So, yeah.
All right, great. So let's keep in touch. And Stephen, we want to let you go with this. I want to take your bias of working for the Thunder and all that, and I will promise you that no Oklahoma City fans will hear this. I want you to predict right now who's going to win the NBA Finals and how many games.
Honestly, I mean, and this doesn't have anything to do with Oklahoma bias, but the Thunder are playing better basketball than anybody out there right now. So
okay.
I do think that they could win that NBA championship. Now, they do have to win tonight against the Spurs, but when that happens, I do think that they could win in 6 because they're playing that well.
Wow. Okay, and I'm really gonna hope that that's no bias, of course, because you do work for them. But I during one of the commercial breaks, Aaron and I were talking, and we were saying that I love the West, I love watching it, but we will be rooting for whoever comes out of the East. And I think whoever does come out of the East is going to have a battle against any of the teams out of the West because the teams in the West are much stronger, much deeper, especially, let's say just, for example, the Spurs come out and play the Heat. I mean, this team, the Spurs can bring up a guy off the bench every 3 minutes to fresh legs to guard guys like LeBron and Wade. And it'll be very interesting to see what happens there. Stephen, we want to thank you so much for your time. We know you're busy, the big game tonight. Good luck to your Thunder. We will be rooting against them, against the Spurs, and we hope they can close it out and make their first NBA Finals appearance.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys, and thanks for having me on.
All right, Stephen, we'll keep in touch. That was Stephen Howard from the Oklahoma City Thunder. He's a studio analyst in Oklahoma City, works for Fox Sports Net, so you can check him out there every night when there's a game. Usually at the end of the program, what we do, we have about 8 minutes left. We like to go into our media room and check out if there's any stories that are breaking because it's about 1 p.m. Eastern time. in the United States. So I'm going to do that for a bit, and then we're going to have some closing thoughts, and then we're going to go. It appears that Novak Djokovic and Roger Federer will be advancing. Rafael Nadal also advanced in the quarterfinals, 7-6, 6-2, 6-3. And Andy Murray right now is battling it out against Federer from Spain. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens there. So that's just a French Open update for you guys. More updates here for you guys. It looks as if, blanking on the names, Terrell Suggs from the Baltimore Ravens was not injured in conditioning practices. He was injured while playing football. We're still trying to, playing basketball. We're still trying to figure that out. Very disappointing if that's the case. We'll see what happens there. Looking around the soccer world, exhibition games last night. Sweden won 2-1. Turkey won 2-0. France, who I really like, won 4-0. And very exciting that this Friday will be the start of the Euro, the biggest soccer tournament in the world besides the World Cup. And that's just an update from the soccer world. Now going to the baseball world, we want to talk a little bit about some games in the past couple days, and some teams are playing really well. The Mets are playing really well. Of course, had the no-hitter with Johan Santana. And last night, Andy Pettitte looked vintage Andy Pettitte, and I love Andy Pettitte, so that's great to see him back in the game. Pitched, I believe, we're looking up the stats right now. Whatever, he pitched a shutout, very well played. So that's very exciting to see that. And just looking around the league a little bit more, it looks as if Clemens is still going on with the trial. We're going to see what happens with that. Bryce Harper had a game-winning single with 2 outs in the 12th inning. That's pretty clutch against the Mets last night on my birthday. And Tommy Lasorda, former manager of the Los Angeles Dodgers, had a mild heart attack. He's okay. Baruch Hashem. Moving on to NFL, the Sandusky jury is going to start soon, ladies and gentlemen. Penn State, a lot of Penn State alumni are going to be involved in that. Not good for Sandusky. We're going to be talking a lot about that when Ari comes back, because Ari loves that kind of stuff. It's very sad about what happened, and we hope the victims are going to get some justice. In the college basketball world, Butler will be leaving for the Atlantic 10 this year. So they'll, as I mentioned with Jim, Butler, Xavier, and Temple will be playing next year. So that's going to be super, super exciting. I'm just trying to find out some more things for you guys to update our listeners. We're waiting to hear some big stories. Most of the stories break at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. But we're trying to give you some up-to-the-date stuff right now. All the friendlies are over in soccer, I believe, because the Euro is starting Friday. And we're very happy that everyone enjoyed the show. We just got a shout-out from Gina Miller. So, Gina, if you're listening, thank you so much for coming on. We'll be in touch with you after the show. And hockey playoffs, things are looking really good for the LA Kings. Really good. I believe Kings are up 3-0. They can wrap it up tonight, I believe. Yeah, Wednesday, 8 p.m. That's 3 a.m. local time if you want to stay up in Israel. I'm going to go ahead and predict the Kings are going to sweep. What do you think, Aaron? Sweep. Interesting stuff there. I kind of, never really want to sweep, though, in the Stanley Cup Finals, or especially in the championship. That's not really that exciting, but LA deserves it. They haven't had anything, it seems like, in a long time. So we'll see what happens there. That'll be a great game tonight. And another huge game tonight. We talked about Stephen Howard. Game 6 in Oklahoma City. They'll be wearing the blue in Oklahoma City, and that starts at 9 Eastern, which means it's 4 a.m. I'll have to decide if I'm going to stay up for that. Maybe I'll take a nap. The Lakers decide to pick up $16.1 million option on Andrew Bynum. Interesting stuff there. He was an All-Star last year. The Wizards decide to keep Ryan Whitman, who, of course, is a former IU grad. Got to give some love to him. Was on the, I believe, the 1981 or the 1987 championship team. IU. Go IU, go Hoosiers. Not really sure why the Wizards retained him. He was 18-31 as their coach, but maybe that's good enough.
We need a Hoosiers Day.
We will have a Hoosiers Day.
We need an Indiana Hoosiers Day.
Snyder, who used to be the coach of Missouri, is meeting with the Bobcats. Will be interesting to see who the Bobcats get as their new coach. Vincent. Excuse me. I made a mistake there. Sam Vincent is trying to see what's going to happen in Orlando. A lot of problems with Orlando. Earlier in this week, we had a great interview with Donald Foyle, who's part of the front office, former NBA player. You got to feel bad for him because of everything going on in Orlando. They don't have a coach right now, and they have to draft. The NBA draft, of course, June 28th. 2 new players were added to the select team, which is the team that will be playing against the USA team in preparation for the Olympics, which is coming up in July. And the team features Kyrie Irving, All-Star, I believe, Jeremy Lin, we all know about him, John Wall, Kawhi Leonard from the Spurs, DeJuan Blair from the Spurs, DeMarcus Cousins, DeMar Rosen from my Toronto Raptors, Derek Favors from Utah, Gordon Hayward from Utah, Paul George from Indiana, Taj Gibson from Chicago, and Klay Thompson from Golden State. And Boston center Greg Stiesma was added. Very interesting thing. A guy who plays 5 minutes a game in the NBA was added. Very good player, though. Gets a lot of blocks. Lance Thomas was added as well, as plays for the New Orleans Hornets. And Ryan Anderson, who's one of my favorite players in the NBA, has decided to withdraw. And he should have withdrawn because he's an all-star player, arguably better than Dwight Howard this year in different ways, obviously. Howard's obviously the best player and rebounds and stuff, but Anderson, very explosive. A lot of stuff going on, and we love to update you here at Israel Sports Radio. Interesting thing by the Blazers selecting the former Clippers GM Neil Olshey to be the new GM of Portland. I don't like this at all. I really don't like this. I didn't like Olshey when he was on the Clippers. I don't see what they're doing. The Trailblazers have always made dumb decisions in management. No offense, Greg Oden, I love you. I saw you play basketball in high school, and you're very good, but your time's over. Just trying to see if there's anything else that we can, some NFL, anything in the NFL that's going on right now, big stories that just are breaking. As I mentioned, Terrell Suggs could get in a lot of trouble, guys, if he was playing basketball. He could get sued by the Ravens. Of course, we had a Baltimore Ravens exec on yesterday. We're trying to see what's going on with the NFL. We can't seem to find anything right now, so I think Terrell Suggs is the biggest story. And that's it for tonight's program. Tomorrow we will be having former Pro Bowler Henry Lawrence and former Super Bowl champion for the Los Angeles Raiders and Oakland Raiders, Henry Lawrence. We'll be having Frank Trigg, who's the main guy for ESPN Radio, on MMA. A lot of soccer tomorrow as well. Samaki Walker, the former Los Angeles Laker great on those three-peat teams with Kobe Bryant, will be joining us at 12 Eastern, 7 local time. Avi Creditor and Zach Lee Fig from Goal.com, probably the best soccer coverage magazine in the world, will also be joining us. Next week, we're going to have Mark Stein, and we're going to have the play-by-play guy for the Los Angeles Galaxy. And I want to make some very exciting breaking news, and I'm sure, Aaron, this will be very exciting for you to hear, and who knows, maybe I'll be able to co-host it with me. But I just confirmed with the New York Giants offensive coordinator, one of the hottest coaches in the league, Kevin Gilbride, will be joining us on Israel Sports Radio. Very exciting day for us.
Wow. And
we will be also joined by the play-by-play guy of the Bulls, Charles Swirsky. So that's going to be a very exciting day. And Eric Stover, the former executive with the New York Red Bulls, who actually brought Thierry Henry from France to the Red Bulls, will be joining us. He's about to get a job. So Bill Rowland from Washington, D.C., CBS Sports. So that's going to be a very exciting day, June 19th. So please join us. Mark Stein will be joining us on the program as well. A lot of great stuff. Tommy Smith on the 25th. We had a great show. We want to thank everyone who's been on the show today. I'm sorry if I haven't been myself. For our listeners out there, I've been very under the weather today. But on today's show, we were joined by Aaron. So, Aaron, I want to give a shout-out to you, and thank you so much for joining us today. It was a pleasure having you on.
Thanks for having me on.
And we're looking forward to having you on again in the future. We'll keep in touch about that. But starting off with today's show at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, we start off with Brian from Philadelphia. We had a lot of technical difficulties. At 10:30, we had Dan Carell from Indiana, IU represent. He's the head of WIUX Radio, which is the radio at IU. Also works for the Big Ten Network, who does play-by-play for soccer and baseball, I believe. After that, we had Andrea, which was interesting. I'm not going to lie. I know he could understand a lot of the things we said, but he did a great job, and he wrote me after the interview and thanked me. So great stuff there from Andrea. Then we had the pleasure of interviewing Zach Wilsley, talked to him about Euro. He likes Germany. I do too, which is kind of weird because it's Israel, but that's okay. Then we had an amazing time with Gina Miller. Again, if your dad's listening, hope everything's good in the North. Then we had Jim Williams, who is just a class act, love him. And then we had Upton Bell, which I want to get some closing thoughts from you, Aaron, on what it meant for you to talk to really a legend in the NFL. Or his family is really, owner of the Eagles, former NFL commissioner.
I think we just need to have him back on again. I think we need to spend a half an hour.
An hour, who knows?
And not talk.
No talking.
And just let him talk.
True.
And I want to learn what he knows about sports and about what it takes to be a successful owner and a successful general manager, a successful sportscaster.
Right.
All of these things that this man does. He was truly remarkable. And we're going to have him on again.
We are. And then we finish the show with Stephen Howard from the Oklahoma City Thunder, who says the Oklahoma City Thunder will be the champions of the NBA. And that'd be pretty exciting because I must remind you, the Oklahoma City Thunder's 3 best players are under 23. That is scary. James Harden is 22. Kevin Durant is 23. And I believe Russell Westbrook is turning 23 or is 20. That is scary. I mean, LeBron is 28. He hasn't won yet. I love LeBron. I'm not hating on him. He's my boy. In fact, now that I mentioned that, please check out our website. We're very, very proud to announce that our own Doobie Pick was able to secure an exclusive interview with LeBron James. LeBron James only did 2 interviews this year with the media, besides pregame and all that. One with Slam and one with Eurobasket. Doobie Pick, David Pick, who's a good friend of our program. So check that out on our website. It's in our blog section. Clenari Carter is also in the blog section, and I am also in the blog section. But check out that article. It's a great story about LeBron James going to high school with one of the best players who plays in Israel. Whew. That's it, though, for tonight. Please tune in tomorrow at 5 p.m. local time, 10 a.m. Eastern time. Good night from Jerusalem.